Yeah.
Hey, let's start the show.
It's November 21st, 2013. Welcome to This Is Only a Test, the official podcast of Tested.com. I'm Will Smith. Joining me today, Norman Chan.
Hello.
You look like you're browsing a YouTube page. Are you reading comments?
No, I'm waiting to upload a video for that's going to be on the site today.
That's exciting. Directly to your left, Gary Whitta making his triumphant return to the podcast after, what, maybe a month or two? Seems like it's, or well, Oktobercast.
Well, this is certainly the first time we've been together since Oktobercast.
Yeah, it's been a while. Are you recovered yet? It's been 3 weeks.
Yeah, it took a while. As always, it takes a while to recover, but I bounced back.
Well, the older you get, the harder the recovery is.
Each year, I've come to dread it. I genuinely don't look forward to it at all.
It's fun once you're going.
No, then it's worse.
Oh, I had a good time.
You can't back out.
I enjoyed it.
No, there were some fun moments. I was looking back at some of the YouTube archives of Norm slumping over the wheel play. I don't know if you saw any of this stuff, Jeff.
I did, yeah.
Jeff Green is here.
Hello.
We asked for Jeff Gersman, but we got Jeff Green. He'll do.
I always sub in for Jeff
Yes,
Gersman.
exactly.
Yeah.
The official Jeff Gersman proxy.
Yep.
Yeah, that bit with Norm on the wheel.
Oh my God, I was laughing.
Was kind of sad. I felt really bad. It was hard. And Norm was pushing through.
I applaud Norm for
I wish I could have made it all the way.
I kept giving him I kept saying, Norm, just stop.
No.
No one's going to think he would not.
But you were giving him the sarcastic out. You were like, dude, it's fine. Everybody understands.
No one's going to think you failed.
Right.
There was a point, to go into my brain, there was a point where I had to make a decision whether I was going to go all the way until I threw up. Like for the sake of entertainment.
For entertainment.
Like,
and
then you had
then you had the peppers
I think
later.
I was going to say,
peppers
between Truck Simulator and Norm having by far the worst reation to the pepper.
Oh my God.
You gave more. I
was worried about him.
All gave some gave all. There was a moment, Jeff, we talked about this after.
Yeah.
There was like a half a minute there where we were genuinely like, are we going to have to call someone?
Oh, seriously, yeah.
For Norm?
I didn't want to drink the water or the milk.
Because I felt like your throat was closing up and like you just weren't getting better.
Right, you looked real bad at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were
slumped
over.
It was hilarious, but actually kind of scary for a second.
It was
I
right
drove
on
home.
that edge.
Because here's the thing, Norm's sense of pride would not allow him to tap out.
Norm hates losing.
He would
honor.
have rather died than be seen to have lost.
Would have been a noble
I
death.
mean, just to be clear, I know I've said this before, but when Norm was in the goggles playing Euro Truck Simulator, the first thing that they told us when we put on the Oculus the very first time, and literally every time we've talked to Nate since then, he's like vice president of communications or something. He's like, if you start feeling nauseous, you got to take them off because you can't push through.
Yeah,
it.
it's not like it's
like you can't. It's not going to get better.
It's not
Right.
like in the abyss where you take the liquid oxygen into your lungs.
Yeah.
And like it's okay, it's going to
Just relax.
Just a second, you'll come through it. But with the
No.
Oculus,
Wow.
you do not.
No.
It just gets worse.
It's worse and worse.
That's an interesting phenomenon, that it doesn't settle down.
Well, with the final version, the consumer version, which will be 1080p, they've also apparently done a lot of work with alleviating the motion sickness because they know it's a real issue that they have to fix.
Well, it's
so I
something
think they have
Yeah.
fixed it, but the dev kits that are out there, 20-30 minutes is your max.
So they really need to have like a big warning on the retail version. Take the shit off.
So
If they have in fact fixed it,
I don't know.
yeah. Otherwise, they need like Nintendo level warnings.
Yeah.
I've played for a couple hours before at a session, and you build up a tolerance. It doesn't bother
Like
me,
any
but
drug.
even
Couple hours is
exactly.
more
So-
than people should be playing.
But
most
how do you
video
feel?
I think that's fair.
Yeah, that's true. But how do you feel after the 2 hours?
I feel great, Jeff. Fantastic.
There definitely is
Okay.
a weird. I
When was
found
the
that-
last time you really felt alive? That's what you have to ask yourself.
Yeah.
I have
decades.
found that after the goggles come off, there is a weird period of adjustment back into
Yeah.
reality.
You shouldn't drive immediately
Your
after
field
the
of
God,
view,
no.
as
God, no.
all-encompassing as that field of view is in the goggles, the real world, it can't compare to the real
Well,
world.
it's still like looking through a dive mask. That's the
Yeah.
analogy I use. You like, you
Because
have
it
that
doesn't
kind
it
of-
doesn't
I
go
see.
all the way around.
Right.
Yeah.
But it was
Yeah.
anyway. Oktobercast. What was our final total?
$33,000. Sorry, $36,000 or $33,000
pretty
600. I
decent.
can't remember.
That's pretty
But
decent.
it was everybody. All of the charities got more than 10 grand,
Right.
which was great.
Nice.
Right.
And
Yeah, I did that because I had to. Put
You pushed it over the top
I
for
had
a couple
to
of
put my
them.
donation in last, so I picked the only one that wasn't over 10 grand.
Your
It
habanero money.
pushed it over. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for that. By the way,
Very
Gary.
decent of you.
Yeah, it was. Well, he paid to watch Norm suffer.
It was worth it.
And me, but mostly Norm, it turns out.
It was worth it.
So yeah, that's the Octobercast recap.
This is very much the season of giving. Like right after we were done, Extra Life for Kids came along. And
that was amazing.
Desert Bus is doing its thing right now. I love it.
Yep.
Yeah.
We love Desert Bus. Those guys are
they
great.
are great.
That's a terrible game.
Those guys raise a lot of money, though.
We still have to do a raffle for the prizes.
We have the prizes. I think we have everything here now, except for maybe the Scott Johnson stuff. But he's going to send that directly.
The skateboard is awesome.
Yes.
So listen,
It is great.
given that we've done 3 of these now,
Yeah.
and we've learned something.
That's it. We're
each
done.
Time,
It's a trio. We're never doing again.
You'll get no argument from me.
I think we need to mix
we're
it
not
up
doing
next
twice
year
a
and
year?
do something different.
Well, I was going to ask you, like, if you wanted to do it again next year, what lessons would you apply from what we've learned in the past?
I think we should do it on a stage and have people
Have
come.
a live audience?
Have
That's
a
a great
live
idea.
studio audience.
That actually is a
Good
terrific
idea.
idea.
Yeah.
That's
I
a
think
great
that would
idea.
add a whole level of energy. Because
Yeah.
the thing that happens every year is at like the 2 to 3 a.m. hour. By the way, Patrick Norton apologized profusely. He had the flu and was doing some serious vomiting when he was supposed to be here and in feverish haze forgot to tell me.
We could have used him in that graveyard shift.
That graveyard shift is a real key moment.
That's when we
worst.
started the Oculus.
Because you do.
He's our spirit animal.
The thing is, you do eventually push through the fatigue. Like by come like 6, 7 o'clock
Once
in
you
the
see the
morning,
sun.
you're kind of awake again.
Yeah.
But that like 3 to 6, man.
Well, so the thing that happened was, like, there's a period of time there when we just stopped talking into microphones, and like we're chewing on air. People got really upset about eating on air. By the way,
you just don't care anymore.
they got really pissed.
Really?
And I don't care that they were pissed.
Well,
don't like
they're
that. That's a
listening
bad
at-
sound.
They're listening at like 3 in the morning.
Well, no, but it's archived, so
Oh,
they
the
watch it later.
archived.
Yeah. So they're not all in the same mental frame as we are. Some of them were listening to it in their car 2 weeks later. It's not the
Okay.
same.
Deal with it.
Anyway.
Right. You could put timestamps on it.
I like the stage idea though. We'd
That's
have
a
to
good
find
idea.
a venue, but that
It's
would
hard
be
to
great.
find a venue that's open 24 hours. That's the problem that we
That's a
can
good
that we can
question.
work out of
'Cause
24
doesn't have to be
hours.
like a fire marshal and aren't there all kinds of codes and
Volunteers,
things?
ushers.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd have to have people ush. I don't know. I think we either need to go really big or mix it up and do something different.
We need to find a small venue that could seat maybe, I don't know, 50 to 100 people.
That seems about right.
yeah.
Yeah.
We can find
We have
that.
a year.
It'll probably cost $36,000.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to raise $5
even if
for
it was
charity,
just like
guys.
even if it was just like a back room in a bar or something, you could
Exactly.
do it.
Backroom in a bar would add a much needed level of seediness to the whole affair.
Yeah,
Should we talk about this has been a big week.
huge.
Yeah. I mean, the console race is over, guys. The PS4 won. They were out first. That's all downhill
that's
from
it.
there,
It's
I
just,
right?
heard-
it's just
I
a
heard-
matter of when.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess by that argument, the
then-
Wii U
yeah,
probably
exactly.
won.
It's now
Wii
a
U won.
It's now a first past the post, right? Microsoft's just like, oh shit, they got there first. Let's
Yeah,
not
it's
Yeah.
over. So I think, Gary, you bought a PS4. I bought a PS4. Norm, you're passing.
I'm passing.
I have passed so far.
Okay.
I will have them.
Admirable restraint.
I will have all 3, I'm sure.
They will be
eventually-
yours.
Let's be
Eventually.
honest. You know, some of us around the table here are the crazy early adopters that have to
Right.
have the new car smell right away. We get off on that, but
That's just you, actually.
okay. That's true. I
I haven't gotten off
I
on a
think-
piece of electronics in ever.
I think to some
That's
extent we all
gross.
do. Me probably more than most.
Yeah.
And after you buy one of these things, there's always like a little bit of buyer's remorse.
Yep.
Like, did I really need? Once the initial euphoric high of unboxing it goes away, you're like, did I really need this?
Yeah.
There isn't really much
Yeah.
to do with it.
So-
So
Yeah.
don't tell me this is an alien sensation.
I
to
know
you.
it isn't, but
Totally.
like within 2 weeks, like $500 purchases.
Yeah, I don't
It's-
worry
it's-
Oh,
about
it's not
This
2
is-
weeks. It's like 20 minutes.
This is not a cheap. This is not November. This is no money-vember, because that's
Yeah.
what I am left with at the end of this.
Yeah, I don't worry about guys like you because you do get off on that. Like, but what I worry about is all the
Just
sort
have
of
this horrible picture of Gary standing over his PlayStation 4 doing unspeakable things.
but just all the consumers who sort of buy into the hype, who don't really maybe have a good sense of what the launch window actually is, like what the
Right.
titles are coming out, like those people who just like buy into the TV commercials and then buy it and then take it home and go, fuck.
I mean,
Well,
actually,
no, to be fair, it's not like there's nothing to do on these consoles.
Yeah,
they all
that's
have
true.
games. They
Okay.
don't. We can, as game, industry long time people who have
Yeah.
been through a lot of launches. We can talk about the objective or subjective strengths of these different launch lineups. So
Sure.
It's not that there's nothing to do on them.
That's
It's not like they
true.
ship with one game or
That's
anything.
true.
There's a little bit of something for everyone. They're
But
not great launch lineups.
Attach
but-
rate is
but
at
hold
least
on.
one.
All of the reviews, and I think Jeff, you and I have talked about how silly it is to review hardware.
yeah.
But all of these reviews have basically, I agree with the ultimate sentiment of almost all of them, which is to say, you don't need, unless
shouldn't
have
buy
that-
this now.
Unless you have
Yeah.
that sickness, there is no need to buy this.
Right.
Well, here's the thing, though. If you're a guy who plays one of the big, like super popular multiplayer games, Call
Sure.
of Duty or Battlefield, or
Sure.
or if you're, I think there are still probably people that buy Madden every year.
Right.
Another fine EA property.
Again, yes, as they all are.
Like those guys, this is, and you're not going to buy a PC. You're not going to buy or build a PC. Like this is the best way to play Call of Duty Ghosts right now, whether it's the Xbox One or the
But
PS4.
is that a
it's-
system
it's-
seller?
it's
For
the-
an-
I think it probably is. I think people.
The funny thing is remember when they unveiled the
Maybe not anymore.
the Xbox, it was all Call of Duty Ghosts.
Right.
'Cause
Yeah.
I think Call of Duty, frankly, is now it's on the way down.
I would
think
agree.
it's peaked.
It's American Wasteland?
Jumped the shark.
I think it peaked with Black Ops 2 in terms of its popularity. The franchise fatigue is setting in. It's not as good a game as the previous ones have been, both in single player and multiplayer. And here's the argument I would make. If you want to have the best experience, the majority of people, when people talk about what's the best experience for Call of Duty, most people are thinking about what the multiplayer experience
Yeah.
is.
Right.
Some people don't even bother with the campaign. I'm the opposite. I play the campaign and then throw the game away because I don't want to be in that environment. But most people care about the multiplayer. And the
reviews on the multiplayer are bad.
well, the point I'm making is the next gen version, the PS4 or the Xbox One version may look marginally better, but if you want people to play with, there's probably going to be a much wider pool of players on the current
That's
gen
true.
version,
Right.
Because the installed base is so much bigger.
I don't know, but so with Call of Duty, maybe a bad example, but for Battlefield, which is a larger scale game, and you have a different experience on PC than you do on the last gen consoles, the 360 and the PS3. I think you probably get a better experience. I mean, I haven't touched Battlefield 4 on the PlayStation yet.
I think what would have done it for me is if there was just a really super killer launch title, which I don't think Battlefield
What,
is.
you don't
just
think
be-
Killzone is your launch title
you
of
know,
choice?
or what Crimson Dragon is?
The,
Knack.
the model has
The
changed.
knack.
It used to be back in the day. Remember, Nintendo would ship its console with a Mario, the Mario
Yeah.
game that was all
Right.
you needed.
Well, hold on. The last time that happened was the SNES.
No, the last time that happened was the Wii. Wii Sports
Wii
was
Sports
packed
was-
in, and
okay,
that
fair
was,
enough.
that was what made that console what
Yeah,
it
you're right.
was.
Yep.
That was
Yeah, my grandmother
without
wanted to
that,
bowl.
the Wii wouldn't have been half the success that
Yep.
it was. So, but that's Nintendo, and Nintendo have always done its own thing. The last time it happened outside of Nintendo, I would argue, was Halo with the original Xbox.
That was
what I
that
think
was
with
the,
the
that was
original
the one
Xbox?
game that
I think you're
that was
right.
attached to that console and made it.
Yeah,
the
you
system
had
you
to
had
have
to
the
get.
Xbox to play this game that was so hyped.
And with 360, we didn't. The launch window also not super great, and it
The-
wasn't until something like Gears of War that really kickstarted everything.
The lineup on 360 was okay. Project Gotham Racing and Geometry Wars were really, really strong. There were
I bought a
handful of other
360
games.
for Geometry Wars.
But the- but the-
Wow,
Great game.
But a lot of money to spend for no HDMI.
But
for Geometry Wars.
Fair enough.
apparently the days of console manufacturers thinking that it's necessary to have one absolutely killer game at launch is over. Although you could argue that the Xbox has had that with Forza this time around. I mean,
I
they're
guess,
getting
but
9s
if
and
they had
10s
put
across the board.
Titanfall out day one, I would be buying
But-
one
but
tomorrow.
When,
this is
when
the-
the 360 came out, I was saying that if this didn't ship with the fact that this didn't ship with Halo 2, someone should be getting fired. But in the end, it didn't matter.
Yeah. So how much does launch month momentum matter?
Right. And maybe it doesn't.
Yeah. I mean, I
I
think
don't
that
think it does. It's a long game. This last generation lasted 8 years.
Well,
Right.
and
For the first 3 years of PlayStation 3, everyone was saying, that's it, it's over. And in the end, they ended up pulling it back pretty well.
here's the
I
thing.
didn't buy one till like 2 years ago.
I bought one when Metal Gear Solid 4 came out, which was 2 or 3 years in. I think what's happened is both Microsoft and Sony are looking at this and saying we're not going to wipe out the other platform. Like
Yeah.
we're not going to get total market share. So all they have to do is maintain enough market share that people keep releasing multi-platform games, and then everything works out. And then they can get incremental gains or losses based on the performance of their first-party titles.
And I don't necessarily think Sony and Microsoft even think about it in terms of a horse race, the way that media observers and the console warriors on the forums do.
Yeah.
I think both of them are probably, as long as we both make money, who cares who made a little bit more?
And they're both fighting to protect that dedicated console space.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, this is the battle this generation isn't against Microsoft versus Sony or Sony versus Microsoft. It's consoles versus tablets and PC.
And the
And
horse
mobile.
race is to
mobile,
build
yeah.
this idea that it's still relevant and a big deal, which it is.
Which it is.
Yeah,
I think
Yeah.
one of them would be quite pleased to obliterate the other and take all the market share. But I don't think that's a realistic goal at this point. Those
Right.
systems are too entrenched.
They just want a bigger overall market.
So let's talk about the experience with the new console, the PS4, and we'll talk about the Xbox 360, Xbox One in a little bit. So the out-of-box experience on this thing was surprisingly good for me, at least.
Not for me.
I know some people had different experiences, but I plugged it in, connected, it downloaded the patch. And then I wasn't able to connect to PSN for a couple hours. But then after like Friday night, it's been fine. The network stayed up.
Yeah.
It seems like they have it set up. So the patch downloaded. It was 350 or 600 megs or something like that. It downloaded in like 2 minutes. So it was really fast.
I did it from the USB stick.
Same difference.
Oh, okay.
I was able to buy games from the store on Friday and download. I downloaded Need for Speed and Killzone. So like 70 gigs of data all told, and it came down fine. And because the games support incremental play, whether you're installing, so you have to install everything off of the disk, and everything that gets installed to the hard drive on both, as I understand it, both the Xbox One and the PS4. But the games actually started playing well before they'd copied the 30 gigs of data off of the
That's
disk.
good.
The
Wow.
disk-based games.
So how does it do that?
I don't know about the PS4. I was listening to the Bombcast last night, and I know Brad was saying on the Xbox, it seems like it's even smart about like where you are in the game. So when you try to load like the third world in whatever game he was playing, it streamed that stuff so that he was able to play in like 90 seconds.
I see.
Even after he deleted the game from the
Yeah,
hard
it's
drive.
good to have a
Wow.
solution for that, because even people with really fast internet connections, a 30 or 40 gigabyte download is going to take a while.
Well, yeah. I mean, I have a 30 megabit connection, and 36 gigabytes is a 36 gigabytes takes a long time.
So
to
is it
download.
Kakai? Is it using?
No, it seems like they're downloading portions of the game. So there's like a minimum playable part of the game, and then you add from there. I don't think it does. Like I'm not seeing any visual artifacting when it starts playing.
So it's not streaming.
I don't
it's
think it's
just
streaming.
the way that the games are packaged.
Yeah.
It's engine first, light assets, and that's small enough.
And then it streams in the individual assets for each level as needed. And
That's good. I like that.
so some of the games handle that in a different way. Like Need for Speed, it streams the tutorial down first, and the tutorial takes about 30 minutes.
Right.
Because you do
And while you're playing the
cop
tutorial, more stuff
side
is coming
and the racer side.
Yeah.
And then when you finish, but the weird thing is when you finish the cop side, it's not like, oh yeah, you can go out and play the cop side now. It's you can go you now you have to go do the other tutorial. And there's no option to skip. So like if you have to reinstall or something like that, it's a little hinky. But that's a big open world game. So it's like they're streaming in a portion of the world that you're limited to during the tutorial, and then theoretically by the time you're done with that, it opens up.
Right.
So you can't skip the tutorial at all?
I don't think you can skip the tutorial. Like I reinstalled it to see, and it saw my save file, and when I resumed the game, it was like, oh, okay, well now you got to wait to install, and it just kept going. So I don't know. It may be that the PlayStation doesn't do the same level of like delineation on the download files so that it can do the different bits and pieces and get you where you want to be. But that also is a worst case scenario for that because it is an open world game. So
Sure.
like it's not like if you're playing Knack, which is a linear platformer kind of thing, then it's going to know, okay, you're at level 2.2, so you can download level 2.3 and 2.4 and go 3.1 and all that.
So this, so this touches on an interesting question for me, because I'm still very much on the fence about whether or not I want to buy games in boxes or try to say, yeah, I'm down with the digital, future, and I don't want any. Because one of the things I really want to try and do is reduce clutter in my life, and piles and piles, shelves and shelves of games. Just the idea of having like a shelf of games does not appeal to me anymore.
And you don't trade in games or resell or share like boxes.
No, I do. In fact, out in my car right now.
Don't give an ad. No ads.
What?
Don't you,
I have a huge. Well, okay, I'll try and do it in a way that won't offend you. I have a huge pile of
such a
almost all of my 360 games are out in a massive shopping bag
Sold.
right now.
Oh, wow.
You're welcome. If you want to go through
Yeah,
them, you're
I should
welcome
go through them too.
Yeah.
You're welcome to do that.
I'll give you 35 cents per title
There's
for
actually
the
some
ones
good
that I
stuff in there.
choose.
And
I'll give you a pre-order to the
my
next.
plan is to take them
Would
to...
you like to pre-order Halo 5?
My plan is to take them to a retail location.
Do you have do you want the
and
warranty
trade
on
them
this
in.
disc? Okay.
I may need to look at these games.
If you want, I got them in a bag right outside.
Damn.
So that's it. You're done with
welcome to go
your
through
last gen.
Yeah, I'm never going to play
You're
them
pulling the
again.
ripcord.
I was going to
Wow.
ask all you guys that when I first walked in was like, what are you going to do now with your PS3 and Xbox 360?
I just bought a receiver so I can leave at least one of those plugged in. Because I didn't have enough HDMI ports to do 2 new consoles and leave
Right.
the PS3 or the Xbox. I have a lot more, like the PS3 games that I have a PS3 in my office. So
Okay.
I'll probably use that to play PS3 games and leave the Xbox 360 plugged in.
Okay.
Because there's like, my wife and I still bust out Rock Band sometimes,
I mean,
which
and
is
neither
crazy.
is backward compatible, right?
Neither of
No.
them backward
Which
compatible.
blows my mind.
I know. I guess that's not a thing anymore. I wish it were.
Here's the thing. Would you rather pay $100 more and have a backwards compatible machine that's bigger and louder and shittier, or would you rather just keep the old Xbox that you already have around?
Bigger,
Like
and, bigger and louder, that's a deal breaker. So
Yeah.
no. But I think, most of us probably have. Doesn't everybody have a backlog of games?
They do, but the thing is, I think what happens is people like the idea of backward compatibility, but it's not used as much as people think. I've never used it
That's
that
fair
much.
enough.
The games that people, I think, go back to play are the smaller games, the arcade games, and a lot of those are ported to PC
Well,
already.
you got to remember that you got of course you got to remember the 360 and the PlayStation 3 still have a long life ahead of them. It's not like these machines instantly go away and everyone jumps into the next gen. IGN did a poll of it's like 27,000 gamers or whatever, and they said, which system are you going to get? And the second most popular answer was none. So people are just happy. Most people are still just happy with their current systems.
And I think that's probably helps in contributing to a delayed purchase with these new machines, right? It's like, well, I've got 30 games I can still play on this machine, and I'm not going to get through them. So
and we got dudes selling them for 35 cents a pop.
Why don't I just wait?
There will be. I think there's going to be at least a year or two longer of plenty of games coming out just for the current what are now the last gen systems.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm keeping mine around just because I've got two big chunks of backlog that I need to play through. I still need to finish GTA 5 on 360, and I still need to finish Last of Us on PS3. And then there's DLC for Last of Us that's coming, so I may need to keep them around just for that. But
I'm bummed that there's no. I understand the no backward compatibility because code is different, but there's no intergeneration multiplayer.
So there's
I would like that too.
There's not intergeneration multiplayer, but there are. I don't know how it works on the Xbox One yet, but you can, if you bought Ghost for the PS3, you can pay $10 and they'll give you Ghost for the PS4.
Right, there's
that's nice.
Yeah, there's an upgrade path.
That's pretty cool.
And like if you bought a DLC season pass for a last gen version of a game that supports this, then it'll transfer over to the next gen console.
The thing that bugs me.
I mean, it's another way for the just to be clear, it's another way for the publishers to juice an extra $10 out of us.
Sure.
But if you couldn't wait 3 weeks to buy Call of Duty for the next gen platform, then maybe that $10 doesn't matter to you.
Seems fair.
Yeah.
The thing that bugs me the most, and this is, I understand fully that this is completely unrealistic, but it still saddens me that like when one of the titles I'm excited to play this generation is the new Need for Speed game. That's a multi-platform title. I've got to make a decision about which platform I get that on and which friends I'm going to not play with because we're still split between these systems.
I
wish
Gary.
that multi-platform titles, there were a way for them to, like Will was saying that because of the Origin system on EA, even though we can't play together, we can see each other's scores and at least compare those, like on the autolog. But I don't want to have to say, well, I'm just going to play with.
I don't know that. EA representative Jeff Green.
I have no clue.
Okay. Cool story, bro.
But you remember when you had to when it was HD DVD and Blu-ray, and it just seemed so preposterous to us that we had to buy both machines to get all the movies. It's always been that way on console, but it's been that way for so long that we just accept it.
Yeah.
I still have a copy of Midnight Run somewhere because it's never been out on Blu-ray.
Wow.
On
You should just rip that.
I threw my HD DVD players away.
Do you guys all have Wii U's?
I have a Wii U.
I do.
I'm really excited about Mario. Comes out on Friday.
I'm excited.
That's the one.
Well, I don't have one yet. But
if they came out, I know they're coming out with the big Mario game this year, but when they come out with Galaxy 2, up-res and up-ported, then
I'm very excited about that combo pack. You know it's coming.
So, and Galaxy 2 don't play well on Dolphin even. So, like, there's no way to play those.
Galaxy 2 is the most CPU intensive
I would be
game that's playable on Dolphin.
astonished if somewhere in Nintendo right now they're not working on a Galaxy 2, Wii U HD.
I'm sure.
Double pack.
Well, and actually, the team that did Super Mario 3D Land or whatever the one that's coming out on Friday is,
3D World.
3D World.
3D. Yeah. So this is the same team that made 3D Land for the 3DS.
I don't know if it's the same team.
I believe that's the case.
Okay.
They're totally different games, though, right?
No.
So 3D Land is the 2D like super version.
No, that's New Super Mario Brothers.
Okay.
3D Land is the near launch 3DS title that is kind of a spiritual successor to Super Mario World in that you have health. And you stomp. So it's like a hybrid of Super Mario World stuff with Super Mario 64 kind of mechanics, and it's all 3D stuff. So it's frequently like a fixed perspective, but that perspective changes as you move through the level. It's a fantastic game. Everybody, if you have a 3DS and you haven't played Super Mario Land 3D, whatever it's called, it's absolutely brilliant. It's the best Mario
By
game
the way,
since
there's
Galaxy
a price
2.
drop on that at Amazon.
Oh,
it's
great.
like $29. I noticed.
And Nintendo first party games never get cheap, so go get that.
But I've always
this is
enjoyed
from
the-
that team, which is also the Galaxy team, as I understand it.
Okay.
This is the Friday game.
And I'm not. I feel like there's so many things that are wrong about what you're saying right now, but I don't have enough information to contradict you.
That's what the internet's for.
But yeah,
Thanks, comments.
But I am very excited about 3D World because my wife loves Mario even more than I do, and I actually even went out and bought the Mario and Luigi Wiimotes because I'm just very excited. about
Hold on,
those.
who gets Luigi? It's the year of Luigi. That's the one to have.
Totally.
I know, and I think we might end up fighting over Luigi, but I'll probably lose that
Fighting over
battle.
Luigi. Wow.
I would have thought that could ever happen.
yeah.
Right.
Luigi
He's
is now
cool
like
now.
the hipster choice.
He is
That's
cool.
people-
Yeah,
people
he
want
jumps
Luigi.
higher.
I like Luigi before you guys.
Luigi Mansion. Luigi's Mansion for 3DS is another really great game. Like there's
I keep
Nintendo's
hearing
actually
that.
having a great year. The
are.
irony is, with even with these new systems, the best games this holiday are all on Nintendo systems.
Yeah, well, I was saying that on Twitter the other day. It's like this week when there's all these other launches. Like, ironically, I've never wanted a Wii U more.
Because the Wii U's had a year to mature,
Sure,
and for these
of
games to
course.
show up.
Right.
Wii U didn't have a strong launch either.
No.
Is this still the launch window for Wii U? Does that count?
I don't think it counts.
It's a
I think
very
it's
long.
over.
It's a very long launch.
But
window.
I have Zelda coming to my house tomorrow. I'm super excited.
Do you not
about
get those
that on
digitally?
3DS.
Why don't you just get that from the
I was
store?
going to bring that up in the when you guys were first talking about this a few minutes ago. Was that because I feel the same way. Like, I'm tired of the clutter. I don't want to buy movies anymore. I don't want to buy CDs anymore. And I do feel that way about games. And yet my gut instinct was still to pre-order the Zelda game because I love Zelda so much.
I think it's
But
going to
there's a
take a while
difference.
for our minds to kind of click over into
Well,
this new mindset of buying.
There's a
everything
difference between
digitally.
movies and games. Games, you're
There
getting the
is,
exact same experience.
But somebody on Twitter asked me, like, why don't you just download it on Friday?
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
oh fuck, why didn't I?
But why? But here's the thing. It's
Yeah.
great because I remember I think it was like when Super Punch Out came out for the Wii or something. I couldn't find it anywhere for like first few weeks, and eventually I just gave up because it was sold out. That's no longer a problem.
Yeah.
Right.
If you go, you can go to the store and it's sold out. But you know what? Okay, so
Well,
just download it. You're going to be able to get it day one
So
now, no matter what.
There are
Right.
problems with the digital stuff. Like, this is just to be clear, especially Nintendo. It seems like they're moving in the right direction now, finally. But
Yeah.
but the keys, the download is tied to the device. So if you lose your 3DS or it
Yeah,
breaks,
that's true.
then you lose the games if you brought it digitally. And I think now that they'll do a transfer system if you call and complain.
Yeah.
But you still have to have like the SD card with that on it.
Right.
And move it to a new
Nintendo's
machine.
Nintendo's system of tying the download to the device is really bad.
Right. So,
Yeah,
so
I had a friend who has a young son, and right when Animal Crossing was super hot, and the son, he's 8 years old, he made a tremendous amount of progress. Then he dropped his 3DS and broke it.
Oh, no.
And this kid was like heartbroken. And my friend, because he's in the gaming industry, was able to personally call somebody at Nintendo and say, "Can you please get this
Yeah.
guy's game
But I don't
over?" And they
underst-
took the hardware and they did it. For
But I
him.
don't understand why Nintendo doesn't have the same system that everyone else has, which
'Cause
is
Nintendo's bad at the
you have an
internet.
account in the
Yeah.
cloud and it knows what you
Is it a
own
cultural
and you can
thing?
re-download it.
Yeah.
Is it a cultural thing? The way people
Maybe.
tied devices? And I have no idea.
No. So it's because they didn't understand how people use the internet in the
Yeah, 'cause
West.
I'm
Nintendo-
saying
my
that
understanding.
why? I mean, that is a cultural thing.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so they're moving toward that because the Nintendo. I think now your wallet on your 3DS and your Wii U are connected, so it's the same pool of money in
getting
both
better at
places.
this, but they've still got a ways
But
to go.
yeah, I mean, Sony's just now getting it right. It seems like, and it's still unclear what their policies are on downloads and stuff like that. Because with the PS3, even you can only download stuff twice. Which
Oh, yeah?
Which,
And then what? Then they say
and then
you're
you have
done?
to call somebody to download the third time.
I'm still
or deactivate a machine.
like this is where I
Okay.
am right now. I'm trying to figure out if I want to go out today and buy a couple of Xbox One games on disc.
Yeah.
Or and the advantage being that down the road I can trade them in and get a few bucks back.
Right.
Or get them all digitally, wait for the games to download, and
then it's like your
not
Steam
have to
library.
get up and swap discs anymore.
Yeah.
Here's the
Yeah.
thing: like on Steam, the idea of going out and buying a PC game in a box is
Right.
absurd to me now.
Absolutely
So,
dead.
but why does that
Dead in
not
the
translate? Why do we still feel weird about doing it on console?
There's also a capacity issue. Like you're buying
Well-
a PS4 with 500 gig hard drive, and there's no way to on Xbox. There's no way to tell how much space you have left on
So-
that stuff.
So on Xbox, the Xbox is going to manage that stuff for you, so that it automatically gets rid of the stuff that you haven't played in a long time and
Really?
makes room for new ones. Yeah,
It does. It must give you a warning, right?
I think it doesn't save game. It saves save games. Obviously, you have infinite save game storage in the
see.
cloud, but the disc. The space on the disc is just managed by the machine. You can go in and do it manually if you want.
Okay.
But you don't, as I understand it, you don't have to.
it takes your bandwidth
that
for
could be. I
granted.
can see that being.
Yeah.
I don't know if
It's
that's
fine for us 'cause we don't
again,
bandwidth
I don't
caps.
know if that's accurate what you're saying, but assuming that it is.
What the fuck,
It's a
man?
very safe thing to say.
Yeah.
Assuming that it is.
As reported by GiantBomb.com.
I can see that occasionally being annoying. Like, let's say I haven't played a game like Dead Rising 3 in 6 months, but like suddenly I've got like a hankering to play it.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got to re-download it.
Well, so this was the thing that
right.
Brad went out and tested. It was he deleted the Rise files from his hard drive and then put the disk back in to see what happened, and it started doing the install, and it does the incremental install and picks you back up where you left off. Again, this is all stuff that Giant Bomb tested and has reported. We don't have an Xbox One here, so we can't test that, but we will tomorrow or over the weekend probably.
Okay.
So yeah, and this presumably it would work the same if you're downloading. So you fire up, you go to your game library on the Xbox, you press the button, and it launches. It starts downloading. It says, "Oh, we've got to download some stuff." But then 90 seconds later, you're in the game.
Well, not in that way. It's better than Steam because you don't have to go right-click download 4 gigs, 10 gigs for Assassin's Creed,
right? And download the entire game with Steam.
Like my heart is telling me don't buy discs anymore. Like I feel like I want to just be able to.
I'm kind of with you. Like I feel like when Zelda shows up tomorrow, if there's nothing like cool in the box, I'm gonna feel like I was an idiot.
And then now you just have one more thing to lose.
Yeah, like great. Now I have another fucking cartridge.
So wait till the box, you open it, and it says the code. For
I mean,
you
do you
download.
care about getting a little fold-out map and stuff like that?
I guess I really don't. I mean, I feel like the old me does, but it's sort of over.
Yeah, remember Falcon 4, man? Those were the days. You were a PC gamer, Jeff. God damn it.
Well, that's the thing. In the old days, the boxes mattered, right? But actually, they were just bigger boxes because the media was bigger, so they could actually put cool stuff in it.
But they are trying to find a solution to that because, people still... I have no interest in this anymore because I don't like clutter, but people go, oh my God, look at this Titanfall statue that comes in this. Fuck that. I have no interest at all.
Right.
But...
The game, hold on, just to be clear.
People still want that, but if we're going to a digital economy, like look what they're doing with Killer Instinct. There's an ultimate version of it, which actually comes in a kind of a box with a pin, I guess Penny Arcade made for them. But there's no actual physical game. It's still a download
Interesting.
code.
Well, that's like
also,
PC games.
When people come over to your house and want to play a game, you can look at the shelf.
Yeah.
It is clutter, but then you see the games right there.
Now you just say Xbox, show my games, and it gives you a big list.
Browse
and you play
through
Menu Hero.
my cover flow of games.
Yeah.
Menu Hero.
Well, I think that's part of the old school, having collections of stuff. I mean, probably what is the Venn diagram between people like us and collector mentality?
Well, we all have mental
books,
problems.
Books,
yeah,
and displaying them in your living room was part of the bragging rights.
And then
right?
you got married, and that shit had to go away.
Look at my vast collection, and you can easily see it. This is the last generation that's going to do that.
Wonder, so the next generation of geeks, they're just not going to have that.
It's going to be pins, like Gary said. It's going to be a sash of pins.
Or there'll be some other way to display it. Like people like to share their delicious libraries. There's a digital but still visual way to show off what you have. But again,
do people really share their delicious libraries still? I mean, I have one.
Some people do it.
It's sick. I feel like every time I add stuff to that, I feel like I have a disease.
You do have a disease.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I'm never giving up my vinyl records though.
You're right on, man.
I mean, I've got I don't know, 600-700, and I love them.
So I went out.
They still look great.
I went out to buy a new amplifier, and I was like, and Gina's been we stayed at a friend's house up in Sonoma a few months ago, and they have an old Bang & Olufsen automatic turntable. So you put the record on, you press the little button that goes down and drops. It's fucking great.
Yeah.
And so that means that there's probably a turntable coming back into my house.
How much is that? How much are turntables? Expensive.
$250, $300 for something that's awesome, sounds great, and
they have
bare bones.
what I have is I have a USB turntable, which is super cool.
Like the Audio Technica ones.
What do you do? Do you rip your vinyl into
You
MP3s?
can, but I actually don't. I just have it when I want to use it. I just plug the USB port into my computer, which has nice speakers, and I just play my records that way.
That's cool.
So,
I have a turntable that's plugged into the AV receiver. Does the same thing.
Yeah.
So the problem I had was I couldn't find an amplifier, like a home theater receiver, that had a phono amp that was that was either not an Onkyo, which I'm never buying again because they always fucking die.
That's what I keep hearing.
I've had
Nothing
mine
but
for
trouble.
6 years.
You're the only person I've ever met that has
totally
been
fine.
flawless
Didn't Ollie
with
Moss
Onkyo.
just have problems with his as well? He was complaining about
I don't know. Jeff and Ryan went through a whole thing last year where theirs imploded at the same time that they'd bought at the same time, and anyway,
I would not buy one.
So I'm just going to buy a standalone phono amp when we get the turntable in.
There's something, and I don't think it's old man nostalgia. I think it's actually the physical object. Like I have no interest in keeping my CDs. I want to rip all the ones I have left and get rid of them.
Yeah.
But there's something about the object of a vinyl record that, to me at least, has a more sustaining, lasting value.
You're Michael Caine in Children of Men.
There is
Maybe I am.
Like when I
We're close in age.
When I see a picture of, I can't remember what it is, but it was a really beautiful picture. Someone had a great just like a listening room, and they had their, their AV stack, their turntable, and their speakers, and just a massive wall of vinyl and a beautiful. It's like, that is cool. That still looks good. But like I said, anything that could just as easily exist
if it comes in
like
plastic.
a video game or a Blu-ray, what's the point?
I remember when my daughter was old enough to actually appreciate it, and I showed her the vinyl collection, and it was like, it was like she walked into, Smaug's, treasure of thing in The Hobbit. She was so blown away by how cool it was, and she was looking at records that she had the music of, like Beatles stuff, and being able to open up the gatefold and see the lyrics and all that. Like, she was like, whoa, I had no idea it used to be this cool.
I feel like for every person like that, though, there's going to be 10 kids who, like when my daughter grows up, let's say it's like 5-10 years from now, if I were to show her, put the idea of like, here's what you did. You put... what some people still do. You put a vinyl, you put a record, and the needle has to go just so. Like, the next generation, like even this current generation,
you have to balance the vinyl.
I'm going to find that comical. Like,
you're right.
Really, people live this way.
You're totally right.
SNES cartridges. People buy SNESes and and they get blow in the cartridge.
Yeah, supposed to
blow
plug
it in and look at the discoloration on my SNES because mom smoked a lot.
I just like the when you're doing the record, I like the going through the collection, you pull out the ones you think, oh, this is the one I think I'm going to listen to, and at the end, instead of having a list of things in your head, you have 3 physical things that are in front of you. You're like, okay, we're going to listen to this one or this one or this one. And then you also maintain the whole rhythm of the A-side, B-side thing, which has been completely lost since the rise of the CD.
I don't even think people like younger kids wouldn't even know what that means, right? A-side or B-side, or side 1, side 2.
So the way, just to explain for the kids at home, vinyl records have 2 sides. You're supposed to start on the A side with the first track on the album. It's just like putting a CD in and pressing play, or starting your MP3 downloads with the first on the playlist. But then at some point, you have to stop listening, go up, move the needle to the other side, take the disc off, flip it over, because there's also something, it's as if there was something on the top of the DVD.
Right, except, artists at that time, or ones who cared about it, would use that sequencing deliberately. Right? They planned, okay, what's going to be what was always super important was what's the first song on side 2. Right? You got to start, you're starting over again. They just flipped the record. So what's the thing to get them going again?
Well, one of the things that digital music has done, and arguably it's one of the dark sides, I think digital music is fantastic in many, many ways, but the album experience has been destroyed.
I still almost exclusively listen to albums. Like I start on the first track and go to the end.
I do too, but
I probably am.
I assume I'm a minority too, but that's what I do.
Yeah. I mean, when I signed up for like that's why I signed up for RDO instead of just buying the songs I like from Amazon or iTunes. So I can listen to the whole album.
Sometimes when I buy an album from iTunes, the tracks don't even populate my library in the album order. I have to manually resort them.
That's crazy. Yes. I wonder how many artists are still thinking in terms of albums. I mean, that some are, and some explicitly state.
There was an article in Variety the other day about how album sales are just atrocious right now. People aren't even buying full albums anymore. They buy the hit single, or maybe 1 or 2 others. But this is what digital music.
Well, because the people who are buying songs are the people who are listening, are the kids who are listening to Katy Perry and Kanye and shit.
When you say it's funny when you say B-sides. What I thought you were going to talk about is on singles. The B-side is is always, to me what that means is the lesser known track that was on the other side.
Best B-side of all time. Bohemian Rhapsody.
That was a B-side?
That was a B-side.
Was it really?
What was the A-side?
I think it was Killer Queen, but I can't remember.
Of course, the Beatles had Strawberry Fields and Penny Lane.
Oh, Penny Lane was the B-side?
Penny Lane was the B-side.
That was back, but the Beatles, that was when the Beatles would release an album and all but one song on the album would hit the charts, right?
Yeah. There were no B-sides with the Beatles, really.
We definitely have that generation. There's a BuzzFeed or an article every other week about like, here are a bunch of sounds that you don't hear anymore, or here's like icons that don't mean anything to kids. Like the mail icon on my Mac and on a lot of programs is still a physical, the back of an envelope, which doesn't mean anything to most people anymore.
Oh, maybe Bohemian Rhapsody wasn't a B-side. I thought I was always under the understanding that it was a B-side, but the internet is telling me that it was the B-side was In Love with My Car. So.
Oh, okay. I just heard a story the other day of a friend who has a 5-year-old, and the 5-year-old was at a birthday party of another kid, and the mom took photos, and she took digital photos and regular old-fashioned photos. And the mom, who threw the birthday party, came over to my friend's house with these print photos and showed my friend's 5-year-old girl, and the girl.
Is this Dana?
This is
Dana.
She
tweeted this story.
Oh, did she?
Yeah.
And her daughter said, "How did they get those pictures on paper? Like, how freaky is that?" Right?
So PS4, guys.
My daughter, who's not even 18 months old now, any screen you put in front of her, she does this.
Yeah,
she wants
swipes.
to. She wants to swipe. She wants to pinch.
Do you have
That's the
fingerprints all over
language.
your TV?
Now, what if she starts
everywhere.
doing that with books? You know,
I have this microfiber mitt that goes over your hand, and it has like a woolly microfiber, like a chamois side on it.
Yeah.
And I just follow her around there everywhere that she goes.
Anything else on the PS4? Do you guys have any questions? Are we good?
No,
I feel like
we're talking about streaming.
We
we haven't talked about
streaming.
That was going to be the big part of the conversation.
streaming what?
Before we get
Twitch.
to that, talking about no games
Oh.
on the PS4, the best thing on the PlayStation 4 right now is Resogun.
I keep
Resogun's
hearing
great.
that.
That
Some
is-
people don't like it. Some people who are presumably good at reviewing video games don't like it. I thought it was really good.
in
I
the
enjoyed
same
shit
way
out
that
of it.
Geometry Wars Retro Evolved was kind of the secret weapon of the 360 at
Yeah.
launch, Resogun is, and what most people don't even realize is it's free.
Oh wow!
Well, if you have
I didn't know
PlayStation
that.
Plus.
Yes, but
Okay.
you get 30 days of PlayStation Plus for free when you buy
That's
the
true.
system.
There's also a $10 PlayStation Plus code
Yeah, which most
in the
people
back of the
most
book.
people probably throw that thing away and don't even know
Yeah.
it's worth $10.
Yeah. So your instructions for the PS4 were
But I do want
$10.
to take a moment to talk about Resogun just in and of itself because
Yeah.
it is. Have you played this yet, Jeff?
No, well, I don't have
you
a
would-
PS4.
You would love it.
It's
Yeah.
Defender. It's the you played
Yeah,
Super
looks like
Stardust,
Defender.
right?
Yeah.
It's-
So Super
I-
Stardust is asteroids, but mapped on a 3D
Got it.
globe.
Yep.
This is Defender, but mapped on a disc on the outside
On
of
a cylinder. I didn't think I
Yeah,
was going to
yeah,
like
yeah.
it because Geometry Wars and Super Stardust, where you're kind of like firing and going in all directions at once.
Yep.
That was always too much for me. I just never got with it.
Mm-hmm.
But this Resogun is much more the classic Defender.
Yeah.
Stargate model.
Yeah.
You're basically just still going left or right, but it's the 3D effect is a cylinder that
Sure.
you're going around, and you're rescuing the humans and kind of depositing them as they're running around.
Can you go left or right? Can you turn
You can
around?
go either way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
can go either way.
And, you can go one direction
and
and
you-
shoot the other,
yeah.
which is not canon.
But it's
Right.
It's all left and right. And what I basically love about it is you get it right away. Like if you grew up on those
Yeah,
games,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
you know what it is. You played like Pac-Man Champion Edition DX.
Yeah.
It's
That was so good.
It's to,
Still is.
Resogun is to Defender as DX is to the original
Wow.
Pac-Man.
Yeah. It's
Oh,
really
fantastic.
good. I didn't like Super Stardust. This is from the same team that made Super Stardust. I wasn't a huge fan of that. This is brilliant.
And it
I
has
think
an
it's really
online
good.
co-op mode where you can both play together. It's fantastic.
That's great. Yeah.
So one more thing before we talk about the Twitch stuff, because we'll get to that in a sec. I tried streaming games from the PS4 to the Vita, because you can play
Remote play.
PS4 games on the Vita with your across Wi-Fi.
Now I've heard a lot
Wow.
of people that have this
Yes.
are loving this feature.
It didn't work very well for me because I was using a router, which we'll also talk about later, that the Wi-Fi wasn't particularly good on. And when I upgraded the router to use the different software instead of the ASUS provided software, it was pretty good.
I wonder why they don't just use why they didn't bother to do like a direct link between the Vita and the PS3,
That's what it is.
PS4.
What do you mean?
No, not having just the router, just direct Wi-Fi, Wi-Fi
Oh.
direct.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure that was beyond Sony's capability. Did you? Probably because the Vita has to support it in hardware, and I bet they didn't put that in.
Maybe, but I haven't. Most people seem to really like this. Like they're sitting on the toilet playing Assassin's Creed 4.
Yeah.
Why not?
Did you buy the camera, Gary?
No, I didn't.
So the
But-
camera's like you can't really do anything with it. There's no games or anything except for that playroom
But
thing.
after I did streaming for the first time, I
Yeah.
wanted to go out and get it.
So the streaming, but it looks at it like it sees your face and it says, "Oh, hey, you're Will Smith. Hold up the controller if you want to sign in." So you hold up the controller, it sees a little light. And it's like, "Oh, okay, you're signed in." You can set up parental controls based on who's using the system,
Right.
as seen by the camera.
But it doesn't have any of the functionality of Kinect though. It's not as fully featured.
It's a
as that.
depth camera, but it does it with stereoscopic cameras rather than the infrared dots and the things that the Kinect uses. So it's a different technology. I have no idea how well it works.
So, I
Is
mean,
it
you
in-
can
is
say
it
like
being used in
PlayStation.
games?
I want to play
Is it being
Resogun
used
or
in
whatever,
any
and it'll
game?
bring up Resogun.
So you can play when you're playing multiplayer games. You can use the microphone on that, and it doesn't sound terrible. There's a catch because a lot of games don't let you mute that microphone. So you actually like I accidentally was streaming voice from our living room when I was playing Need for Speed the
wow.
other day online. That was awkward.
I've been using the crappy little earbud that comes with it.
Yeah.
And again, I think the fact that they bothered to pack in even as cheap as the one they did, they packed that
Yeah.
in, tells me that they are trying to make more of an effort
Multiplayer.
on
Yeah.
the multiplayer side.
The-
So can you play any PS4 game on your Vita?
I believe everything
so.
that I have so far you can play
Wow,
on the Vita.
that's super cool.
Well, it
That-
streams across. You don't play it on the Vita. It plays it and it streams the video out.
But,
Got it.
but
To
to all
the
intents
Vita.
and purposes, you are playing a PlayStation 4 game on your Vita.
The
Yeah,
things that
yeah.
won't work are the ones that have that require analog triggers. If I had to guess,
that makes
and
sense. Yeah.
because you use the back touch screen on the Vita as an analog trigger and
I
it's
see.
it's a little awkward. Like I played Need for Speed. It was kind of hard.
I will
actually.
say this: the new controller is fantastic.
The new controller is
The
really
DualShock
good.
4 is incredible.
So the Playroom thing is the thing that uses the eye, and so it uses the accelerometer and gyroscope in the controller,
Yeah.
and it does a really cool, like, the whole setup sequence where you calibrate all that stuff and it like shows you how it works and what it can do is basically like a THX pre IMAX movie style thing where it's like and you have rumble and you have 4-axis motion control, and it pops up all this Minority Report stuff. So it shows you a picture of your living room, and it superimposes all of that stuff on the controller with like big blow. It's hard to describe. You should just watch a video on the internet.
But just like
but
the
it all
stuff-
moves with the.
But
We'll
they've
do a
done this
video.
every generation, just like the stuff that ship with iToy and the PlayStation Eye on PS3. You'll have fun with it for a couple of days and then never.
Oh
touch
yeah,
it.
don't
Yeah,
buy one
right.
now for that. If you're going to stream, you can do that, and then you can show a picture of yourself
The
when
number
you're
one reason
streaming.
to get a camera, I think, is if you want to stream, and streaming has,
Yeah.
has turned out to be the secret weapon feature of the PlayStation 4.
Yeah, so Microsoft and Sony both announced streaming when they were announcing these consoles earlier this year.
PlayStation announced
Ustream. Yeah,
but
and then-
Twitch is the big one that people
Yeah.
are on.
Well, they added Twitch at E3, I think, or thereabouts.
Very smart of them.
Yeah, and it's dead simple. You hit the button, what used to be the select button on the controller. It's now the share button.
Yes.
Wow.
And it pops up a menu that says, hey, do you want to save a clip? Do you want to save some screenshots? Do you want to save the last 5 minutes of gameplay footage or 30 minutes or whatever it is? Or alternately, do you want to just stream this out to Twitch or Ustream?
Yeah.
And then you put your login and password into Twitch, and once you put your login and password, you hit that button, go right twice, and you're streaming.
It is remarkably seamless. I give credit to Sony.
So
for
on
way
the
they've set this
PC,
up.
as we all know, I think like
You've streamed a little bit, as I understand it.
Yeah, I mean, it takes. Once you set it up once, you're kind of okay, but there's still a lot of futzing you have to do.
Yeah.
Is there none of that on the PS4?
No futzing.
No futzing.
So with the PC, you're using like OBS or XSplit
Right.
or something like that. Is it
Both of
OBS?
those. OBS, or
OBS, yeah.
I use both OBS or XSplit.
So OBS
it
is
depends.
free. Once you figure it out and set it up, and but you have to kind of do a little tweaking per game. It's
You
sometimes
do.
a little tricky.
And even learning both programs, like I had to watch YouTube videos, frankly, to figure out some of the settings.
Well, and if
Yeah.
you want to do more complex stuff like capture Skype or capture voice
Yeah.
at the same time, that adds another level of complexity. You may have to buy stuff. If you want to stream consoles, previously you had to buy a capture box,
Right.
Like an Elgato Game Capture HD or a Hauppauge HD PVR, whatever that thing's called. The new this literally.
This basically takes all of that and just puts it all in their own, OS. You don't have to
Yeah.
worry about it. And it just works.
That's amazing.
Well, and if you have a
That's so
microphone,
great.
if you have a microphone hooked up, the voice
Yeah.
streaming comes through immediately. It'll stream. I think it even streams other people's voices when you're playing multiplayer. I'm not sure about
No,
that.
it doesn't do that because I played some
Oh, right.
Resogun with a friend and it didn't work.
No voice.
So it was only
You only hear the voice of the streamer.
But then if you have the camera hooked up, it actually shows you sitting on your couch.
Yeah.
Right.
Like a cropped in headshot of you on
in the
couch.
corner, or like a picture.
Yeah.
So
I think
it
it puts in
shrinks
the lower
the
right
game
corner.
screen. It puts a little bit of furniture around it, and the great thing about it is the chat people in Twitch that are watching
I've
is
seen
right
that
there on your
right on the
your
bottom of
TV
the
screen.
window.
So you
Yeah.
can glance down and respond to chat comments without really taking.
And they
your
can
eye off
watch
the game.
anywhere. And they're watching on Twitch.tv, on the app, on iPhone apps, and
Or on their
smart.
PlayStation.
Yeah, there's also a
So
PlayStation
smart.
thing that just shows you all of the currently
Wow,
running
so you could
live
just
streams.
turn it. You could just watch games. And
So
Yeah.
this was a feature
Hey, honey,
that.
I'm watching.
This was a feature that when
playing.
they announced it, I was like, whatever, sharing. I get it. Everyone's a narcissist now. Everybody wants to broadcast
Yeah,
what
people
they're
who
doing.
stream games are clearly narcissists.
Totally.
But I got to tell you, the minute I did it, it's so much fun. I was kind of hooked. I went out
Yeah.
looking for the cameras. I want to add the camera to this. This is great, and everyone's freaking out about what a great feature it is. And now that Microsoft has announced that you'll
coming
be able to,
next
you'll
year?
be able to watch Twitch, but you won't be able to broadcast from your Xbox
Yeah.
right away. I feel like whatever Black Ops team they have, working on how do we sustain this, they
Wait.
probably would have prioritized getting
Yeah.
Twitch going.
So you
as quickly
can
as they
watch PS4 streams on your Xbox.
That's hilarious.
I bet
You
that they
can't-
filter out PS4 streams.
Yeah,
Yeah, I wonder if they're going to do that.
Yeah. So the other thing
funny.
that's controversial.
Well, you can plug a PlayStation 4 into your Xbox One.
you can't capture that,
You can't capture it, but you can play PS4 games through your Xbox One.
but it reportedly adds a fair amount of lag.
I imagine it would.
So the other thing is that it's unclear what level of publisher control the publishers and the platform holders are going to have on the video that you stream through these platforms.
Yeah.
You don't own it.
You don't own it.
That's not necessarily true. It's really unclear what's happening there. But I think the Twitch on PlayStation you're not allowed to archive. Maybe
I was just going to ask that. So you can't, and it doesn't auto archive.
I have to check. I haven't I need to go check my Twitch because I checked the box that says archive my broadcasts, but I don't know if
on
it
the
has
PlayStation or on the.
Twitch.
It's got my place. It's got my Need for Speed Rivals.
So there
It
you
does.
go.
It's sitting on your channel.
So it does archive.
Oh, that's
Becoming
great.
more informed by the minute.
And then I assume you could upload it to YouTube. If
I don't
you
know.
wanted
Maybe
to.
it's not.
It's a great feature.
I don't think you can
but
upload it to YouTube.
There's a bigger conversation to have
Yeah.
to have here about the world of YouTube personalities and Let's Plays, and I was just talking to our friend Logan, the former editor of PC Gamer, the other day about this. How there used to be print media, as we're all veterans of that. Then that went away for the most part, and now everyone gets their news and their gaming stuff on the web through various blogs and the big websites. And now I think even that is going away and being replaced by people like Total Biscuit and Francis and these YouTube personalities who are building huge audiences and creating legitimate businesses around their YouTube channels.
Oh yeah.
That's a whole different conversation.
Well, it is a whole.
But
right.
I think it is. But I think it is connected to the popularity of streaming.
Well, but here's the thing that's going to happen is the previously, Total Biscuit and those guys provide a valuable service, but there was also a pretty high barrier to entry for that kind of content. So people had to go out and spend, in the early days, a few $100s, maybe even up to $1,000 to get a good capture setup and audio mixer and good microphones and all that stuff.
And
that price has come down
Yes.
as time has progressed. And now the barrier to entry for capturing and streaming console stuff is basically zero.
But the barrier to entry is not even getting the technical stuff. The barrier to entry is knowing how to create content that people want to watch.
Well,
Anyone
yeah,
can put
sure.
themselves up on the web. But there's a
Right.
reason why only a handful of people have the cream has floated to the top, because I think there's basically two categories. There are people that are extraordinarily good at games, and people want to watch the pro players, the best
Speed
StarCraft,
runs.
the best League
Yep.
of Legends, the best
Yep.
speedrunners. They want to watch the guys that
Yeah.
have the most skill.
Yep.
And they also want to watch the guys that are the most entertaining to watch.
Like
that
Francis.
that provide
Yeah.
the most fun commentary, that have the most interesting content. That's not whether it's print or conventional online or this new the world of YouTube people. It's you either know how to create good content or you don't.
And that's
Right.
why people, like companies like YouTube and Twitch, have hired people from the community to be media outreach or public outreach, community outreach,
Right.
Yeah.
and to
Right.
teach people how to stream well.
better.
So the fact that
Yeah.
anyone can stream on PlayStation and later on Xbox One is going to be great. But at the end of the day, only a handful of people, not many people are going to find that great, because then no one's going to be watching.
Well, there's going to be a
Well,
lot of noise, right? You're going to have to
Yeah,
filter
that's
out.
the thing is the noise is going to go way up. Like there's all sorts of new people that just started streaming recently. It's
But what I'm saying is, I think
super
a lot of
competitive.
but I think a lot of people are going to say, "Oh, this is great! I can stream my content.
Yeah.
I'm going to play Killzone or Battlefield or whatever and stream it." And then after 20 minutes, realizing no one's watching, are going to get bored.
Of course,
Yeah.
it might also work on a personal level to some extent, right? Like amongst friends. Like you could say, "Hey, dude,
Friends?
well, those who have them. I don't mean us, but actually sociable people could, say, "Hey, dude, I'm about to stream whatever, Titanfall."
Right.
And if, check it out if you're thinking about buying the game, right?
Or I call Gary and say, hey, you want to stream some Resogun, and we both bust up the streams, and people can choose who they like best.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow, not much of a choice.
I know it's real. It should be obvious, right?
And of course, PlayStation. I mean, they're going to be adding the feature where I can even remotely take over your game. That's going to be cool. as
That's
well. Like, I
cool.
get stuck on a level. I know that you have mastered it, and I can call
Right.
you up and say, "Can you get me past this?"
So the Twitch
Right.
brings up some interesting points, because there's a lot of stuff that kind of doesn't work at launch. It was promised for these platforms. They're clearly going to evolve over time, because this is. I mean, the last gen was internet connected, but this time they're really leaning into it, and they seem to have a pretty good idea of what what they can get away with and what they can't in terms of rolling out new features over time. So standby mode on the PS4, which was one of those things that theoretically you're supposed to be able to just put the PS4 in standby. It was going to save the state of the game you were in. Suspend.
Yeah.
Sorry, I called it standby. And walk away, come back, fire back up, and you're right back in the game. You don't have to launch the game.
That is not there at
That
launch.
stuff doesn't work. It's even unclear to me whether it
Well, it's not that
downloads
it's-
patches in
well,
the
it's not
background,
that
but it
it's
seems
not-
like it does.
It does.
Okay.
But it's the suspend mode. It's not that it doesn't work. It's just that they haven't implemented it yet.
Yeah, the suspend mode is there, but it doesn't do the stuff that I was expecting in the suspend mode. The shut down your console and come back and leave it, and it'll be exactly where you
I
left
put it
off.
into standby, and I came back the next day, and it said a bunch of this stuff downloaded while you were
Okay,
away.
that's
So
good.
explain to me, like I'm 5, how it differs from just You're playing a game and you just hit pause and walk away.
Well, so the difference is that when you play the game and hit pause and walk away, the console is still going to use the same amount of power and generate the same amount of heat that it would if you were playing.
You can basically put the console to sleep, but when it comes back up, it's
like
right there.
So it's an energy conservation thing.
Well, yeah, and if you have the console in a closed box and you don't want
the Xbox One does this as well. The Xbox One has various different power profiles so that when you turn it off, you can decide, you've already set up how off you want to turn it. Do you want to completely shut it down or put it basically
like a laptop.
to sleep?
Yeah, just like a laptop. I mean, so the way the Xbox does that is it uses virtual machines for the different OSs that it runs. There's a virtual machine for the like UI, main UI. What I don't even remember what they're calling it now, but the Metro stuff.
Yeah.
There's a virtual machine for the game itself that's a higher priority. So if you suspend the Xbox One, that game virtual machine just closes down. When you fire back up, it pops back up in the exact same state you were in. So you don't have to, you never see the press start to begin screen.
I see. That's nice. Yeah.
If you're playing the same game all the time. I think that's it for. I mean, I feel like we've got a PS4 controller is really good. There's only a couple of games that use the touch stuff. Killzone uses it. It's bad.
I haven't used the touchpad. I do. A very pleasant surprise was the sound effects through the controller.
It's kind of neat.
When you play Resogun, when you hear like multiplayer up, that comes through the controller. That's kind of cool.
Split from
and there's a headphone jack too, right, in the controller.
And you can plug any headset into it.
And have you guys tried that?
Yeah, it works great. Well, it comes with an earbud.
It's like a
shitty earbud.
Okay.
What's the browsing experience like if you just want to watch Twitch, other live streams, other Ustreams?
So it gives you. I don't know if you can see Ustream, but when you go to the PlayStation World or whatever that, so basically the menu is there's a series of things, and it's like the most recently used thing is on the left, and the oldest thing is on the right, and I think on the far right is your game library or content library, which is games and videos and all the stuff you've downloaded. Usually one to the left of that is the Hey Watch stuff on Twitch. Basically, you go in and it says here's what's playing, and then you can click into a stream. I think you can search. I don't know if you can browse games. And I don't know if it's only limited to PlayStation. That's the thing I haven't figured out yet.
This is something that OnLive did that was way ahead of its time. And they screwed themselves over with the subscription model and even paying to watch, because they were processing video, and you could have this huge grid, and every box in the grid represented a game being played in real time. And if you could do that on the PlayStation, just see like your favorites, your grid of 9 people that you watch, and like, oh, they're playing this game and that game and that game.
Well, the question I have is if they're going to limit that to that platform, because like I know that like a lot of people watch games like StarCraft and Dota and League of Legends on streams, and if you can't actually watch, like if this is a way to watch that content on your TV, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Or
but
even
not.
I don't know. I have to find out.
I have one more question about the audio. If when you plug in the headphones into the controller, does that automatically kill the speaker audio?
No, the speaker audio is, so the headphones, it's just like Xbox Live. It's just for chat.
Okay.
Well,
just for chat?
No, but as a very nice, so you can have it work like the 360, where the sound is coming through whatever sound setup you have, and there's chat in your headset.
Sure.
But what you can also do, which is very nice, is now plug in a real pair of headphones and feed all of the sound into your headset.
That works?
That's
through
what
the
I'm
controller.
asking.
Yes, you can do that.
And you could do that while killing your living room audio.
Yeah, so
that's
no sound.
fantastic.
So you can play late night. All the sound is into your headphones through the controller.
Oh, I had no idea.
That's
fantastic.
spending
That could be a game-
$200 on a Astro headset.
Hold down the PlayStation button. There will be a thing that says Manage Devices, and you can pipe all the sound into your headset.
So that would seriously be, or it will be a game changer for me at my house.
Oh, yeah.
Because like even my wife, like she gets, if I'm playing something like GTA 5, like she doesn't want to hear all the horrible shit.
Bitches and hoes, man.
Right. So
Sorry, guys.
and we like to sit on the couch, and she's playing Bookworm or whatever she does, which is not a plug for PopCap. She's just addicted to that.
It's a good game.
Or whatever she's doing, and I can now be playing GTA 5, and she doesn't have to hear that.
If you have your decent headphones, your Astros, or even something like this, play. It's a standard audio jack. So plug it in, and you can do your late night gaming. Yeah, very good. I think Xbox is doing it as well. I'm not entirely sure, but it's a proprietary audio jack with the Xbox.
So that speaker in the controller is a pro and con, because it's great in games like Resogun, where it plays like the arcade style sample sound, where it's like just save the humans or whatever.
Yeah,
it's cool.
It was terrible in Killzone, where every time you pick up an audio log, it just starts.
Right.
Oh. It's been 35 days since we marched across the plains. Blah blah. And it doesn't fucking stop.
And they didn't think it through, because the controller audio doesn't count as, it isn't in the all audio bucket. So if you're playing Killzone with headphones on, you can't hear anything coming through the controller, which you sometimes need to hear.
It depends on the game. That's a game by game basis.
In Killzone, it doesn't work.
Okay,
is what I'm saying.
Okay. Yeah, it's there's a lot of weird a lot of weird stuff going on.
I will say overall, I think the PlayStation 4 is pretty good. They've made huge strides on the online side. If you remember last year, between 360 and PlayStation 3, there was no contest. Online, there was...
Yeah.
PlayStation 3 was a wasteland online compared to 360.
At the launch.
I think... No, even towards the end, I don't think it was that good.
Okay.
I think that now...
They started doing day one digital sales, and the PlayStation Plus stuff was awesome.
I'm talking about like adding friends, party chat, things like that. That is now much better on PlayStation 4. I have 40 friends on PSN now.
You should put that on a t-shirt.
40 more than I ever had on PS3.
That would be really cool.
But you can't use real names.
You can.
Oh, you can?
You have to send a request to one another to show the real name.
Okay.
Yeah. One thing that I did do, so primarily a games system, clearly, but it's one of the first platforms I've seen with the new Netflix experience.
Yeah.
So
I haven't tried that yet.
New Netflix is on PlayStation 4. You can download it from store. It's free. I don't think you have to have a Plus account to get that, which is a good thing. And the new Netflix experience is, we talked about this, a couple weeks ago maybe on the podcast, but I think the idea is to answer the question of what do you want to watch, not just show you a bunch of options. So it kind of guides you, and you get a lot of the stuff that's been around for ages. Like you just watched Orange is the New Black, so you might like House of Cards, which is okay, whatever. But it also presents you with a big, huge lead option for what Netflix thinks you're most likely to want to watch up front. And there's also a game. So there's it's almost like don't know Jack, where a kind of narrator comes up and says,
"Oh God,
I
don't want that."
This sounds horrible.
It hasn't worked yet. I have yet to watch any of its suggestions.
So they're gamifying our movie watching.
That's like the Netflix,
you don't get achievements.
That's like the console equivalent of having like a talkative hairdresser that you don't want to, like a barber.
Yeah, seriously.
Like just fucking cut my hair.
It's
right.
It's presented.
I like that analogy.
I'm sure it's going to get annoying when you do it more than twice, but it's pretty entertaining, and they do a good job. And it's a real weird mix of movies. So they do things like say, "Who do you feel like watching? Do you want to watch Brad Pitt or do you want Steve Carell?"
No.
And
I think I'll stick with Apple TV for Netflix for right now.
You should take a look at it, Gary. I'd be interested.
Can you opt out of that shit? Can you?
You don't have to do it.
So.
Okay. It's an option. You can click into it. His name's Max.
Oh, he has a name.
He has a name.
Jesus.
And he's a smarmy narrator.
Max is the new Clippy. It looks like you're about to watch a movie. Would you like to do some trivia? Fuck no.
Okay, so we touched on the Xbox One news. The reviews are out. There's no Twitch support at launch. No. It'll come later.
But I'm more excited about, as much as I like PlayStation, I'm more excited about Xbox.
I can't imagine you being more excited about anything than you were about the PlayStation.
I was excited, but again, it's that kind of new car smell.
No longer new. It's old.
A week old. Yeah, it's like old and busted. It's a week old. Who gives a shit? Show me the next thing.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, Gary Whitta can be found on Twitter at Gary Whitta. Send your hate messages to him instead of posting them in the comments.
Here's what I would say: as vastly improved as the PlayStation 4 is over the 3, from the controller to the UI, everything's much
still a turd sandwich, right, Gary?
Here's the problem: the UI, the experience, still feels very kind of sterile and like not alive.
Wow!
In the way that the Xbox experience always felt kind of fun and vibrant and alive. It felt like I was in an environment that I liked.
We're gonna get eaten alive.
I don't give a fuck.
I know.
And I liked. I'm going to do the whole thing where I plug my TV into the Xbox, and I want to be able to say Xbox. Like, you know, the whole like Good Morning Batman stuff that never happened with the 360.
Hello, Batman.
I think they might actually be a bit closer to that now with the One.
So we'll find out. The early reviews of the Kinect voice control stuff are shockingly promising in that it is fast, and it has some big gaps where like you can't change. If you want to watch HBO 2, it hears watch HBO and just goes to HBO and doesn't take you to HBO 2.
Right.
Whatever. That stuff's interesting, I guess. There's a different set of shit that doesn't work out of the box on Xbox One than there is on PlayStation 4.
Like the Xbox One itself.
What?
It's a brick out of the box.
Oh, you have to download the day one patch? How big is it? Like 3 gigs or something?
It's pretty big.
I didn't realize it was. So the PS4 out of the box didn't do much. You could kind of play games.
My understanding is the Xbox One out of the box will not do anything other than prompt you to download the firmware.
The interesting thing,
I think they're going to have a problem. I think a lot of people that aren't up on this stuff are going to end up taking it back to the store.
Oh, right, because originally it was going to be an always on. And
I think what happened was they had to scramble so much to do the 180 that they ended up having to ship it in the state that it's in and worry about fixing the rest of it. So while the consoles were being manufactured, they were finishing the software that you would have to download on day one.
People haven't talked about this a lot, but last generation consoles, while the experience may not have been great if you didn't sign into the respective Sony or Microsoft accounts, it was still a viable platform for playing video games in the old school shared console way. And I think that these are not that at all. I don't think you can play a PlayStation without creating a PSN account. I can't imagine that that's going to be a good experience long term for you.
Well, those days are probably over, right? Where you're just plugging in a closed console box into your TV.
I mean, we thought they were
games.
We thought they were over last generation, but now they're really over.
What about Xbox Live Silver?
Xbox Live. So I feel like I don't know what the offer is on that anymore. I'm so confused about it. They've changed it so much. It seems like over the last 6 months. Because you still have to have PlayStation Plus or Xbox Live Gold to play multiplayer on either side. So that's there's parity there.
Right.
But I don't understand whether the media apps like HBO Go and Netflix and Amazon and that stuff are available on Xbox Live for Silver members.
I don't know about the others. My understanding is that Netflix is still behind Gold, which has always baffled me.
It's fucking insane.
Yeah, that is.
It's the only box out there that requires you to pay extra to make Netflix work on it.
That's ridiculous.
The neat thing is they're doing stuff on the Xbox. It seems like you have like cross app search. So Arthur over at Polygon was showing screenshots of searching, saying Xbox play the Avengers, and it says, do you want to play the Avengers in HBO Go or Netflix or Amazon Instant? Yeah, where do you want to play it? It's on Crackle.
When you plug your TV box into the Xbox, it's going to give you a layer of its channel guide, but all the other stuff that your content could come through on, like whether it be Netflix or Hulu, and Amazon Instant Video, you name it, is all included in that guide.
And I know that the Xbox voice controls for TV don't work with DVR functionality yet, so you can watch live stuff.
No,
which is great if you watch sports, but you can't say Xbox play Downton Abbey and it knows that you have Downton Abbey in your folder.
That you need to do
it doesn't have like system level access to your cable. You're still going to have to pick up, if you want to use a DVR on demand or whatever, you're still going to have to pick up your TiVo.
Xbox go down 3/1. You can't.
But I think that's okay. For the most part, I think it will make things simpler, like, to just being able to go from TV to a game, and even being able to snap TV or something to one side.
I can't imagine ever snapping in the real world.
So I have DirecTV. Does it work with something like that?
Yes. Jeff uses his with DirecTV.
Okay. So it will basically just read every channel I get on DirecTV.
When you sign up, it says, oh, it looks like you have DirecTV, or it says, where do you live? What cable provider do you have?
And there's an infrared relay built into the Kinect. That's how it talks to the box.
Or over HDMI.
That's how it changes. That's how it changes channels. When you say Xbox go to ESPN or whatever, your Kinect is going to flood the room with an IR signal that will tell the cable box to switch over to that.
Burning your retinas out.
Yeah.
It has some HDMI compatibility depending on the TV and the cable.
Yeah, I need to look into that. The CEC stuff. You're just using HDMI to control the.
Yeah.
But you can have your AV receiver and your TV off completely, and as long as your Xbox not in a completely shut down mode, if you say Xbox on, it's also going to turn on everything else. Your TV, your AV receiver.
The thing that's unclear about that, because when I get mine, I'll set that up to try it out. It's unclear to me whether the pass through works when the Xbox is off. Or not.
Well, again, it depends how off it is. I think.
That's what I mean. Do I have to have the Xbox on to use TiVo? Because that's not going to work.
I think your Xbox is always going to have to be at least in one of the standby mode, where it can still hear you.
I don't know. So there's a lot of Xbox news. Obviously, we don't have one here yet. Mine's coming on Friday.
I'm excited about it because I get why people are. By the way, considering where we were after the launches, people were saying, oh, PS4 is for the gamers, and Xbox, they're trying to create this media box.
I still think that's probably true.
I don't think that's true at all. I think and we'll end up seeing parity in games the same way that we did towards the end of the last generation.
I also think that this summer, I mean, Microsoft had a disastrous summer, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it couldn't have been worse.
It was bad.
So where they're at now, where people like you, basically all of us in this room, and basically the whole gaming community are back sort of on board with the Xbox.
We're at least listening.
We're at least listening. They made a huge strides in kind of winning people back.
Yes.
Well, but the larger problem is that the people outside of the people who listen to podcasts on the internet still think that you can't buy used games and you can't loan games to friends.
And they're probably desperately tried to kind of re-message that. I think a lot of people don't even know, the kind of people that we're talking about didn't even see the reveal.
Exactly.
They have no idea what this really means.
Right. None of this means anything, right? They missed that whole controversy.
So
they just know there's a new box out.
So then the other thing about the Xbox is it seems like the Kinect support is really tied deep from everything I've read and people I've talked to the point that it's difficult to find stuff in the Metro UI. It's easier to just say Xbox system settings and
Yeah.
drill straight down
heard
where you
that.
want,
Actually,
or
I
Xbox
think-
redeem code or whatever.
If it works
Yeah.
as well as people say it does work this time, I think I can finally get over my problem with talking to a machine.
Yeah,
and
I'm
do
with
it.
you there.
Hello,
Is it
Batman.
responsive? Is it
But
latency?
here's the
It's
biggest
fast.
change. I think Microsoft is basically
It's too fast is the complaint, actually.
I think
that it
Microsoft-
hears a keyword and it stops there rather than going on. So if you say Xbox watch HBO Go or HBO Pacific, it just hears HBO and goes to your primary HBO channel.
I think there may be a ways around that by setting favorite channels. and stuff,
There are
but-
some dumb workarounds, yes.
But here's what I think the biggest change is. I think the Kinect hardware. Here's the thing. I bought the Kinect on day one. I got suckered into it, and it ended up in a fucking junk.
You get suckered into everything. Though.
I
It's
am
no
still
special
to
thing.
this day stunned that Microsoft released the first generation Kinect to the public. It's a piece of shit.
Well, so
it is. It's fucking garbage. It does
Best-selling
not
item that year,
work as
the holiday.
advertised. It's junk, and a lot of the stuff they put out when they demoed it was bullshit and lies. It
you
was
mean
fake?
Milo? Where's Milo, guys?
There was a lot of stuff that didn't work.
Molyneux's
I think
thing.
now
I
it's good. I think now the Kinect is doing the stuff that they promised the first one would do.
But what's interesting is the Kinect 2, like it seems to be mostly about voice and
Yes.
not audio.
This
I
is
mean,
the-
not
the picture
camera
side
well,
of
video.
video.
and
Supplemental.
not just beyond that, but I think they've basically largely. Don't you think it's interesting there isn't a single Kinect title at launch? They've given up on this
Right.
thing as a game controlling device.
Right.
It's a system controlling
so it's
device
just a way to
now.
spy
Yeah.
on you.
It's an easy way to say. It's an easy way to say go to TV,
Yeah.
pick up the Skype call, redeem a code at the user experience OS level. That's what it's there for
So,
now.
It's almost like they discovered the real good
Yes.
use of this thing by
because
accident.
it ain't playing
Right.
games.
Right.
I'm pretty creeped out by the whole idea of the always on camera in the living room. The more I think about it, because you think about what kind of data Microsoft can collect on that, they'll know what you're watching on TV.
Hey,
we don't need a camera for
like,
that.
If I start
Well,
getting,
okay, even if I don't run the TV through the thing, they'll know what I'm watching on TV.
if I start getting like commercials that are for like clearly
Yeah.
aimed at people that like scratch their nuts a lot, I know something's up.
Well,
Try Gold Bond powder for your itchy nut
I
sack.
think we're all doomed
Planters
if that's
and-
true.
Yeah.
I've
Tiger
also
Balm.
heard conspiracy theories like they'll be able to, like if you're watching something on Netflix, like down the line they'll be able to do like, oh, Norm just walked into the room.
You don't have a license
Yeah.
for 3 people to watch
Exactly.
this movie. No, I
There's a
think
patent
that's,
for that. I don't
I
think
think
that- I
that's
don't think they can do
conspiracy
that.
theory stuff.
You think
but
that's
yeah.
not possible?
I mean, no, I think it's possible. I just don't think they could ever get away with
I'm
it.
more
Yeah.
concerned about the hey, oh honey, we need to go. Hey, can you go pick? I need next time you go to Target, I need deodorant and shampoo. Can you get that? And then next time I turn on the fucking Xbox, it's hey, try Axe body spray. Well, that'll be
Yeah,
there anyway.
yeah.
But whatever. It's
I think
well, we
that-
see that on our own computers every day
I
already.
think down the road, once they get everyone into the system, they will end up doing. We saw the whole thing's like say McDonald's to end this ad. Fuck that.
Yeah,
like, that's
yeah,
that's
yeah,
shit
yeah.
that they actually
throw
patented.
pickle at screen.
Right.
We won't be doing that. But I do generally think the idea of like watching TV and I can get a Skype call right through all that stuff. I think is going to
Sure.
actually be quite good.
The one thing that they're using the Xbox, the Kinect for, like I think they're going to start using it for minor stuff in games. That'll be much more interesting. Like if you think about playing Forza and you have some slight head tracking, so when you turn your head just a little bit to the right, you get the right, look into the turn kind of that kind of stuff is great.
I am glad that
if
that
they can
shit's
do it
mostly
right.
over. I was a
It
naysayer
is
from the
mostly
start.
over.
I don't want to be like, I told you so.
Yeah.
But I felt way back at the time, all along, that shit was just a gimmick that was going to go away.
I wanted to believe.
Yeah.
Dance Central's a great game.
Well, here's the thing.
I've never played a
I-
time traveling dance game that
I
was
think-
better than Dance Central 3.
I think that there will still be. Notice how they went from games that were specifically for Kinect to better with Kinect, which was a lie. Those games weren't
Yeah.
better with Kinect; they were worse.
Child of Eden was terrible.
So
with
now,
Kinect.
them realizing that this is an OS feature, not a game.
But
feature.
like Zumba, they're still doing a Zumba fitness game.
You
at
know,
launch.
and dance and fitness
and
stuff
as
is
well.
one thing.
and there's a
Yeah.
whole fitness track
Yeah.
inside the OS. Like you'll be able to do P90X and stuff with that. So that'll still happen. I think that Harmonix is working on a next generation Dance
they're
Central
doing
game right now.
Fantasia as well, which is a Kinect game.
Those things will still be there, but
Yeah,
it's a
and
very
that-
limited
To me, that's
implementation.
a genre that is legit on its own.
Yeah.
and it makes sense that you would move, right? It's a dance game.
Right.
But where I was skeptical from the start was I remember sitting in demos at E3 where they're like it was a shooter and they're like using their hands to like change the ammo and stuff, and I'm like, who the fuck wants to do that?
Nobody
like,
wants
that's
to do it.
moronic.
Nobody wants to do it.
So
And they made us. They tried to convince us that was the future.
here's
If only the shooter required that you make the reloading noise, like
that would be fucking awesome. I would
Well,
love
that
all
is
the
back to
time.
playing Army in our backyards, right? Yeah, for sure.
So let's talk about something that'll boil your blood with Xbox. Maybe not all of us, but most of us. There are a couple of games coming out on the launch window that the reviews have hit, and they include their full-priced or like full-priced download digital-only titles that include microtransaction type incentives to progress in the game.
Do you have to?
You don't have to, but you might have to. So there's walls. So you'll be playing the Panzer Dragoon, the spiritual Panzer Dragoon. What's it called?
Crimson Dragon. Which is a bad game by all accounts.
It is a game that you should not play or buy. But you hit a point in that game where you either have to go back and grind some to generate enough XP to have the power to progress in the game, or you can give them a few bucks and they'll
and
take
this
care
is
of
a
it for
full price game.
It's a $20 game. On the other hand, though, you have Rise.
It's probably not $20 by the time you're done with it.
Well, it's a full price game by the time you're done with
That's
it.
bullshit.
I did not hear about the Rise microtransaction stuff. When you told me about this, I was
as reported by
genuinely
GiantBomb.com.
Okay.
You can trade money for XP in the same way, and maybe even items.
But EA Sports has been doing this for a long time. Like, is this anything really new?
It depends on how the games are structured. Like if the game is structured in such a way that you have to pay in order to do it, or spend 40 hours on some bullshit, yes, it is a new thing and it
I don't think
sucks.
there's anything necessarily wrong with freemium or microtransactions. In each case, it comes down to how it's implemented.
Rise is a $60 game. You should not have fucking freemium or free-to-play stuff in that is in any way connected with the main core mechanic of the game.
I agree that when it's a $60 game, the microtransactions should not in any way also equate to a barrier to playing the game. Right. If it's extra stuff, if you just want to jump through content and cheat and just advance,
if you want to buy a stupid hat for your
guy, but it should be a completely, it should be a completely legit experience without
optional. Just optional.
Mass Effect, you didn't get XP, you got gear,
which was
the equivalent of XP in that game.
Well, I mean, this is basically how like League of Legends works, right? I mean, you don't have to buy anything. You can progress through the game. You can be.
But League of Legends is free.
Well, right.
Like you download it and play for free.
Right, well, I'm saying
it's not a $60 game.
Yeah, I'm saying this is an example of a game that does it right.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
But absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
I think we're all.
Fuck you, Jeff Green.
But wait, Will.
We are all just furiously agreeing with each other in that. If it's a $60 game, microtransactions have to be very much optional on the side.
I remember when I don't know if it was Dead Space 2 or 3, but when they introduced microtransactions, and I was thinking like, what?
People were not thrilled.
But really, all it is like extra shit you could buy at the store. Right. You don't have to do it at all.
Right.
So
and again, EA Sports has been doing it for a while. If you want to just max out your character right now, you can, but you got to pay extra.
Or if you want to unlock all the levels, the golf courses or whatever, I'm okay with that. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, optional is fine.
Yeah.
So that's fine. I mean, Rise is probably.
So what Rise are you blocked off from playing unless you pay?
So you'll get to a point from what Brad was saying. You get to a point where you're just listen to the Bombcast. They talk about it at length. I don't want to get into it because we'll fuck it up.
I really.
But listen to this week's Giant Bombcast.
I've been saying for a while because I've heard several times now from people in the know that Rise is not a game you should buy. But even then, I'm saying like, fuck it, I want it because it's the only game that really genuinely looks like next gen.
It looks good.
A lot of the other games that I've played, I'm like, I can kind of.
Dead Rising looks good.
Dead Rising looks good, but on almost everything that I've seen so far, especially on PlayStation, like if you told me this was running on a PlayStation 3, I'd believe you.
Yeah.
Like, where's the game that goes, oh shit?
Yeah, I watched Polygon playing Rise yesterday, and the gameplay, whatever, but it looked great.
Yeah. So I've
been telling myself, like, I don't even care if the game's that good. I just want the eye candy. But I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence.
You'll get over that.
Or you just play PC.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
The other. The other one that people have said is Assassin's Creed because it doesn't have any of the distance fog and kind of filtering and stuff that helps them hide the mistakes of the previous generation.
You know, I got to say I'm sort of late to the Assassin's Creed party.
I've never played an Assassin's Creed.
I've been blasting through them, and geez,
hold on, where are you?
Did you start at the beginning?
I did, but I skipped around actually, to be honest. So I played 1. And then I skipped up to 3, which I just thought was so boring.
Three's okay.
But you
didn't play 2 because 2 is supposed to be the good one.
Then and Brotherhood are the best.
Well, now I'm playing Brotherhood, and it's fucking awesome.
Brotherhood, I like almost 100% of that game. I like it so
you're
much.
playing
so
like a
good.
non-linear timeline.
I went way all over. Yeah, it's a mess.
Yeah.
But because I got excited to play 3 because I wanted to play 3 because of 4.
No, 3's bad.
But then I was like, I almost literally fell asleep in the first hour and a half.
Are they in an on-year, off-year cycle now? Or like 2 was good, 3 wasn't as good, 4 is good again?
Well, 2 are the trilogy of 2.
Yeah, they're 3 twos.
Right.
And that seems to be the peak, at least so far, right?
Brotherhood is the best of those games. Yeah, well, because even the third part of Assassin's Creed 2 wasn't very good.
That's Revelations.
Revelations.
Oh, really?
Brotherhood, I thought was
Brotherhood is
amazing.
fantastic.
like
I'm playing that right now, and
totally-
I love
I
it.
feel like I've just totally missed the boat on Assassin's Creed.
You should
Well, I
you
kinda
just
did
pick up
too.
2. You don't
Yeah.
need to. You can jump into any of those games at
I'd
any
rather
point.
just pick up 4 on next gen.
Well, you could do that.
Does
too.
4 continue? Is this storyline still ongoing? Because it seemed like
I-
3.
it's
I think
unclear
it's
to me.
separate from 3.
I think it's a new thing.
A new thing.
A spin-off.
But you're all but it's always always the same character.
You're not always Desmond.
You're always
but you're the same guy that's
family.
like
That's
passing through
Desmond.
history.
No,
right.
no, you're the same. You're part of the same familial line.
But Desmond is the end of that line.
There's always an assassin. There's
So
always
you
a
are
lighthouse.
Desmond in 4?
I
guess
don't-
that's what
I don't
I'm
know.
asking.
Yeah, but
in 4,
I-
you are Desmond.
Again, I've played the
still
games.
going back.
Aren't you supposed to be experiencing the game through the point of view like a guy in the present
Yes,
day that's
that's
like
Desmond.
reliving
Yes,
these
that's
Yes,
memories?
that's
Desmond.
Desmond.
So you're
Yeah.
always that guy.
I don't think that that's the case after 3. I think some shit went down. I didn't play 3.
You're going to have a lot of angry comments on this talk, too.
It's fine.
This
This
is-
is-
we're-
what they're talking about.
Yeah, we're just in the area of pure ignorance now.
At least we admit it.
It was what Altair, Ezio, and Connor was the guy in the third one. The
I
guy
can't
with the
remember his
tomahawk.
name. I got
That
so
game
bored.
sucked.
Wait, so
I
the
couldn't
American
even-
Revolution one wasn't good?
No.
People
I
liked
was
that.
bored shitless.
Really?
So by all reports, it gets a little bit better once you get past that tutorial
I
stuff.
couldn't get past
but
it.
it just it didn't.
I could not believe they were starting the game that way. It was so
was
boring.
really
I
boring.
heard
You
there's a
bet
lot
Brent
of, like,
Franklin.
Not play test
I heard there's a
this
lot
thing?
of like deliver this letter and kind of boring
Yeah,
stuff like that.
you go meet. You're like, I'm gonna go meet Ben Franklin, and then he's just boring.
You're right.
Ride a horse.
And the
of
interface
horse.
Big
is
twist.
terrible too. Anyway.
Yeah, big twist.
And one other thing about the consoles, even if you're pro Xbox or Xbox One or whatever, Xbone, is it general consensus that the Xbox One is just uglier?
the outside,
I think so.
or the games.
Oh no, I mean the aesthetically the box.
It's
The box.
way bigger. So they did it.
some-
It seems like they didn't even try.
I think the general
Oh, dude.
consensus is that that's the case. Some people see it differently. Someone said to me the other day that the PlayStation 4 looks like something that belongs on Miguel Ferrer's AV rack from his apartment in RoboCop. You know, when he had that shitty 80s AV rack.
Yeah,
that's pretty funny.
Now I can't see it
That
any
is
other
funny.
way. But I think it is a nice design. Someone said the other day that every generation has its Duke. Right? They had the Duke controller.
Yeah.
Then the original PlayStation 3, that big fat box, was the Duke,
Oh,
and now
God.
the new Xbox One is that. It's not an attractive machine. I don't think.
It's just a lumpy box.
There's a big empty hole in my entertainment center where the PS3 used to be, and it's the PS4 just kind of sits. It's like you can see the dust shadow
I
around
think-
it.
How about Wobblegate though? Is that a real thing?
I don't care
it's
about.
not.
If you anytime
not a
you
real
say
thing.
something followed by gate, it doesn't matter.
just don't do that. Just don't keep pressing down on one side. It won't wobble.
Oh,
It's
that's
gonna-
all it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
The one thing about the size, I fixed it to the teardown today. They're doing it right now as we're recording this, and Microsoft is not fucking around with cooling inside that box.
No,
yeah.
they're not
That
gonna have
fan
another-
is like it's like a 5-inch fan. It's
huge.
enormous.
They're
That's
not
nice.
going to have another RO.
Is it quiet,
and it's vented to shit.
Don't know. I haven't heard it yet.
I've heard it is quiet.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, great.
But it's like twice the size of the PlayStation 4.
And it has an external
with
power
an
brick.
external power brick, and it's less
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, we'll see. We'll see which ones failed. The PlayStation, there were a few problems with some. It seems
were.
like it was fairly isolated.
There were.
It's funny because you've offered up a lot of negatives and criticism, Gary, and yet you admitted at the beginning you're now more excited for that than the PS4.
Well, I don't. Look, it's
just 'cause he hasn't touched it
It's not
yet.
the most. Well, here's the thing. It's not the most attractive box I've ever seen. I think they designed it specifically. I think the industrial design is a product of the overall vision, which is to say that they don't want this to look like a console. They want it to look like a piece of AV equipment.
Yeah, sure.
Because it does your TV, your Netflix,
Right.
Skype, everything else.
Right.
It's also it's better looking in person than it is in the picture. It's smaller. It's smaller than you think it is.
The thing
Okay.
that annoys
It's
me
still pretty big.
about the Xbox in general is the sheer concept of in like 1993 when Bill Gates wrote The Road Ahead and he talked about a 3-screen future with the phones and the computer in the living room. This is the fruition of that. And like the last 3 years have 5 years, however long since the iPhone came out, have, I don't think I believe in the TV as the third screen in the 3-screen future anymore. I feel like that's a different device. And I feel like we're kind of getting that shoved down our throats because of a 15-year-old or 20-year-old prophecy at this point written by the
Interesting.
Gates.
Well, you think people don't want to look at a
I
TV
don't-
screen anymore?
I'm going to go ahead and tell you, if I wasn't married to my wife who likes TV, I wouldn't have paid for TV for the last 10 years.
Really?
I love TV.
All
love
the TV I get I can get on the internet.
I think families, for the most part, still like to gather around.
Are you talking
the
about
TV.
content, or are you talking about the idea?
I'm talking about the idea of a thing that of a coaxial cable that brings television.
Well, that's content. You're not talking about the big screen in the living room. That's what TV is. That people sit around and watch.
I think at the end of the day, it's still. I still like the idea better of 3 or 4 people in a family or friends sitting around watching one screen than all just being obsessed with their own individual screens.
But okay, so I guess the thing that I don't like is the always-on TV living room screen from Back to the Future 2, right? Hey, we have a TV wall in the house, and that's the centerpiece of the home.
Yeah, and I grew up in a house like that. The TV was always on.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Look what happened to you.
Yeah. No, and I still have that.
But, you know, I didn't repeat that with my own daughter. And it helped to be married to a European who actually, she grew up without a TV for a long time. Yeah. And, you know, our default always, the whole time she grew up, was the TV was off. We turned it up when there was something specific we wanted to watch.
We were the exact opposite. We would just stare at the TV.
Well, this was with my own kid, not like when I was young.
No, it was definitely the focal point of our house. Now that we have a kid, though, our TV is rarely on unless, like, it's never on just in the background. It's only now on if we're sitting and watching it.
Exactly.
But it's still a shared experience when it's on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The TV on in the background is I despise.
It consumes a lot of power.
I think we all.
It's not even that. It just makes you stupid. I think.
Yeah, it's just wrong.
Yeah,
well, I mean, it's like anything. Depends what you do with it.
The thing is, we're all monkeys at heart. So if something shiny is on in the background, you fucking look up and you end up, the TV's on in the background, and you realize you just watched 3 hours of Kardashians. And
I think it's one of the most horrifying things when you're a new parent is when your kid gets old enough to recognize that thing, and you just
mean when they're 3 months old,
instantly slack-jawed, and you're like, holy fuck, look what this machine does to people.
But if anything, the TV screen has become the least dangerous of all of these because at least it's anchored in one spot. It's off most of the time.
But it's non-interactive.
What's much more dangerous is your phone, which is always on, always with you, and has created a whole new generation of zombies that are fucking staring at their phones.
I agree with you.
I think the phone is interactive and is thus, I mean, it is a powerful tool for good and evil. Because the big box is piping it straight into your brain with very little input from you, I think it's a little different level of insidious.
Well, but how is scrolling through your tweets in any way less? How is that any way better than watching
you
TV?
choose to scroll through your tweets?
Yeah, and that's the problem. Everyone chooses to do it. You go to a restaurant and there's a whole family sitting around. They're all just staring at their fucking phones.
Those people are clearly assholes.
The fact that screen is with you all the time, always, and it's always on, and it's always kind of calling to you, is so much more dangerous.
I have a penis 24 hours a day, but I'm not just constantly working myself. You have to learn how to control that shit.
Twitter widgets?
You do?
I mean, 3 or 4 times a day, maybe 6 on a good day, but other than that,
I don't know.
You got to control your shit, man. It's just like anything else. I could go out and
but
get
most
crack
people
cocaine
don't.
Today, right now, but I'm not.
But I think I agree with Gary that maybe there's going to be a point we hit where people are just going to go, okay, enough.
Well, what's going
to back off these machines a little, or our smartphones.
The kids who are growing up with it now understand how to deal with it in a way that we don't. They're going to look at us the same way that we look at our parents who got email and immediately started forwarding every fucking thing they ever got, along with, hey, this is really funny, lol.
But I do think they're, and I don't mean it to sound like too old man, but I do think, like, I can't stand the culture now of being in a place, like even a party, and everyone's looking down at their fucking phone instead of talking to each other.
I don't think you have to be an old man to feel that way. I think you just have to understand the need for basic human interaction and living in the moment.
I'm going to call you every time I see you looking at your phone. When you're
no,
in a
you should.
I
wish you would. I need more reinforcement. Right. It's the thing I like least about myself right now is that as much as I despise it in other people, I'm just as bad as myself.
I'm as bad.
There's that book, The Hatching Twitter.
That just came out.
Yeah, and he writes about how the founders of Twitter, they created it. The one guy who's the forgotten founder, his idea for Twitter.
Jack Dorsey?
No. The fourth guy. The fourth guy. They created Twitter because they were lonely.
Yeah, right.
And they wanted to find connection with people.
Yeah.
And now it's taking.
The point's been made a million times before. It's connected us and isolated us at the same time.
Well, what I don't like is when it just takes you out of the experience you're in now if you're with other people.
Share the experience. Live the now.
Right. I mean, I've mentioned this before. I don't know if I mentioned it here, but, when I went on vacation in Hawaii with my wife and kid 2 years ago, I was tweeting while we were on vacation. Now, this is my first time away from work in a long time. And, but I knew I have a lot of people who follow me, and it was like an opportunity to be funny. I was like taking pictures of like goofy shit. And so that was fun for me. But for my wife and kid, it was like, why are you commenting on our vacation rather than just being in our vacation? Like, please stop broadcast. Just be with us.
I mean, people who...
And that really hit me. I was like,
you're making a choice.
I had the same... Like, I realized at some point I put my Twitter account into one of those you know, like how you use Twitter graphs. It was like, it's like, you know, a high level on weekdays and then fucking huge spikes on weekends.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, no.
And don't you think, I mean, all of us in this room here, like we all have, you know, sort of public followings to some extent. And I feel like a lot of the times I'm living my life looking for the next opportunity that's tweetable. Like, this thing is going to be funny. Look at what my dog is doing. That's going to be funny.
I just look for interesting stuff.
As opposed to just living.
I actually agree. I think it's invaded and changed the way that we look at the world, and it's put everything through this lens, this filter, which is, I think, it's unhealthy.
Right, I agree. You know, in Seattle,
I don't know that's the case,
when I was going out to PopCap, when I would go out to dinner with certain people, we made a deal, which I thought was great, which was we all put our smartphones in the center of the table, and we stack them up. The first person to go for it pays for everyone's dinner.
That's a great idea. Johnny Bent, who was our old boss, said, told me once that I know who my best friends are because I have no fucking idea what kind of phone they carry.
Right? I still remember.
And that game that you just described there is actually quite. I've heard of it before in other places, and I guarantee you, every now and again, there's going to be someone that says, "Fuck it, I'll just pay."
I've been at dinners twice.
What happens if you get to the end of dinner? You split?
Then you all split it. But yeah, I've been there twice, and that's exactly what they say. They're just like, "Fuck it, I'm out." Sort of like the Seinfeld masturbation episode, you know? They're just, I can't do it.
I've tried recently. I've tried just leaving my phone completely at home when we go out. And then it's always when I find that's always when I realize that I actually need it.
Isn't that a weird feeling? Like you feel like it's like worse.
I would rather
than
go
not
out
having
without
your
pants.
keys. Right.
Well, you need a dumb phone to go your out phone, to going out phone.
Yeah,
that doesn't have Twitter.
Sometimes we walk our dog every day. My wife and I walk our dog together, and sometimes we leave the house, and the walk's only going to be 20 minutes, half an hour. She's a tiny dog. Right, exactly. No, I don't own Birkenstocks.
You live in Berkeley, though, right?
I know. It's sort of a law. You're supposed to have
two Birkenstocks.
I'm a
jokes in one day. I apologize.
But when I go on the walk and I don't have my phone, I always have that moment of I forgot the phone. But then it's like, why do I need it? I'm walking the fucking dog. I don't need to be connected.
What if the dog makes an incredibly funny shaped
exactly.
poop?
Oh shit! I can't tweet that poop.
I don't know why.
That poop looks like a rocket ship.
Norm's doing it right now. He's paying attention to this conversation, but some of his attention is divided on. He's scrolling.
Well, he's actually working.
But does he work?
He's scrolling. No, he's looking at other things as well. I promise you. And it's.
I mean, the hardcore pornography was a little distracting.
This is the culture now.
I didn't know you could put that.
There's a whole generation of kids that are growing up now that don't understand the concept of focusing just on one thing and giving it their whole attention.
So I'm going to tell you something. I think that you're wrong. I mean, there are definitely people that don't understand focusing, but there are. Like I had dinner last night with some relatives of mine, and they have a 17-year-old son, and when we were talking about this, we had the same fucking conversation last night, and he was looking at us like we were a bunch of crazy assholes. He's like, look, you guys, you just need to learn to control your business.
I think you're both right. I mean, when my daughter was in high school and still living at home with us, she would be like quadruple tasking, right? Like she had her homework out, she had AIM up or whatever, YM, whatever. She had Facebook, and she was watching a movie. And she'd be doing her homework in her room, and my wife would be going crazy, and she would be like, go in there and tell her to concentrate on her homework. And I was like, she is. Like, they live differently. Their brains work differently than we do. Like, I know she's actually getting her homework done. Like, if I was quadruple tasking, that would be the last thing I would be doing, would be my homework. But I trusted that she really was doing it. But on the other hand, I do also think that that there is a problem with us always staring at this thing instead of being in the moment. And the latest place has been driving me crazy is I still go see live music a lot, and I can't stand the sea of fucking smartphones in my faces at concerts now. It's like fucking
I gotta take a terrible picture of the band.
A photo you're never going to look at again, ever.
There's that YouTube video that's been going around. It's got a few million hits now of the story of the woman who leaves her iPhone at home one day, and now that she's not doing this, she sees the world around her the way it is, because everyone's fucking staring at her.
The guy got shot on Muni, and nobody noticed.
Oh, because everyone was looking down.
Everybody was on their phone. Nobody knew what he looked like. I mean, it seems funny, but no, not at all.
I do. It's come in handy for me in a few social situations when I'm on my own, and my wife with me or whatever, and I'm at a party and I don't, or an event. And I'm kind of a wallflower. I don't really want to engage with people. And the phone at least gives you
true.
It gives you at least you don't have to be doing nothing.
God, that's
and you
so
can look
true.
like you're not doing
or the
nothing.
elevator.
Right.
My
The
favorite.
elevator, so you don't have the awkward.
Yeah. Who farted?
Yeah.
My favorite.
But that's
Smeller's the
a
feller,
small
Norm.
plus, I think, in a sea of negatives.
My
Right,
favorite is
right.
to stand in a public place, like on the street corner or in a train station, and just I'm not even gonna look at anything. I just pull my phone out and see how many other people do it at the same time, just because I did it. Like once one person, even in a
Wow.
group of strangers, it happens.
Oh, because it's now
you get
socially
permission. It's like a
acceptable.
social
It's
contract.
permission.
I would have a hard time finding a group like that where they're not already all doing it.
Yeah.
Subway stations where you usually see them, or on the street corner.
I suppose. Long story short, it's a very bad habit that I'm really trying to break. And to tell you how you know it's a real problem, especially with kids, you know how they're advertising the new Kindle Fire right now. There may be other spots, but the only one I ever see, and they keep running it, is the one. And they're advertising two things at once here. But the Mayday where you can call up a live video advisor that will help you.
We did that. It was really awkward.
That guy. What's that experience actually like?
It's fucking awkward.
The woman on the other line did not know how to solve the problem.
Oh,
I
shit.
know, really
She
bad.
had the word. She's like, I can't think of it. It's so new. This feature.
Oh,
And of course, she's talking to a blank wall. Like we're seeing her, she's sitting there starting to sweat.
It's
getting
not like
really
a commercial
anxious.
where everyone falls in love with the girl
right.
on the other line.
But the number one. Yeah, is Mary there? Is she there? I really prefer that she helped me.
Oh, hold on. I'm gonna call right back.
Oh, you're not who
I'm
I
in
wanted.
the toilet.
Yeah. But the problem that she solves for the guy in the perfect little situation on the commercial is my teenage daughter's coming to stay with me, or my niece or whatever is coming to stay with me for the weekend. I don't want her on the Kindle. I know she's going to want to use it. The big feature is where you can set these parental controls so that after an hour of app, she can read a book on it for 3 hours, but she can only play games for half an hour. You can set all those. This is a real problem, and parents either choose not to or don't have the time to constantly be monitoring what their kids are doing. So the fact that the device itself will now police that is a big selling point.
Right.
I don't know. I wonder what the Mayday questions look like. I wonder if they get I wonder if they're like, hey, I can't get browsers to work on my Kindle Fire, or what's the worst of the Kindle Fire Mayday questions they've got?
What's Brazzers?
It's an internet website. You wouldn't have heard of
okay.
it. Nice try, Gary.
They can't see you, right?
They cannot see you.
Because somebody said, "Oh, Kindle Fire advisors are going to be seeing a lot of unwanted penis," but obviously it's not a two-way video.
Does this rash look funny?
The best thing is if the
Can
people
I go to a doctor for this one?
I tell you what,
they don't know that.
It looks like cauliflower.
I tell you what, they will still get a lot of heavy breathers and that sort of thing.
Yeah, right.
What are you wearing?
They know they can see her. It's always a woman. 2 times I've done Mayday.
Is
It's
it?
bad? It's all so awkward. Everybody's uncomfortable. Should we talk about a little tiny bit more news? There's a couple of funny things that happened this week.
Okay.
The Retina Mini, there's some display quality questions. This isn't actually that
Interesting.
funny.
I just got mine.
Yep.
Do you like it?
I do like it, but it's almost the first time that I felt kind of foolish for buying it. Because, no, it's beautiful. And I put my old one next to the other one.
No
The new one,
comparison.
night
right?
and day. I
Right.
mean, it's so much better. But I really didn't need it. I mean, I already had an iPad Mini. I basically paid $500 for the same thing with a better display.
Shouldn't have
But
bought it
isn't the
last year.
better display
I shouldn't
enough
have,
of a
I shouldn't
reason?
have bought it last year, but I wanted it.
Right. So you bought the better one now.
So what I'm now desperately trying to do is to sell my old one to get some money back and mitigate some of the buyer's remorse. I don't really have
shame.
buyer's remorse. I just this is an expensive month as it is.
Yeah.
This is a purchase that I didn't need to make.
It's just the timing.
Good thing
So-
you didn't get the Air.
yeah.
So Norm, do you feel like? I mean, you got a Mini Retina, right?
But
Yes,
it's
but
beautiful.
I do not know which one I would want. It's still
Really?
Not,
It's real hard.
Why?
It's tough.
What, between the Air and the
Between
Mini?
the Air and the
It's
Mini.
tough.
Oh, okay.
It's tough. The Air is really nice as well.
So the display problems. I don't have an Air, so I can't do the side by side comparison. But basically, the knock against the Mini Retina is that the colors are a little stagnant and the gamut's a little smaller than the range of visible colors that the monitor
Also,
can
there
display.
might be burn-in.
There, some have burn-in. There's an easy test for that. The Mark Arment posted, and I didn't have that on mine. I don't know if you've tried yours yet.
They did not have it.
Yeah.
Sharp
I
makes
didn't
the panels.
notice. I do
Yeah.
love the display. I haven't noticed the faster processor yet because I haven't really done anything very intensive with it. Games load faster.
Yeah,
It's faster
XCOM
for
is
sure.
playable on it. That's
Yeah.
the big difference for me.
XCOM was super playable for me on the 3.
Yeah,
I
but
still
that was one CPU newer than the old Mini, and it was almost
Oh,
unplayable on
right.
the old
I
Mini.
might still need
Okay.
to get an Air next year for work purposes, but for general around the house and just
Yeah.
my general use, the Mini is the perfect.
I like the
think
smaller
I like
size.
I like the bigger one, but
Well, you're a little older than us,
I'm
Jeff.
a little older. Yeah, I like. It's probably true, sadly, because I like the bigger display.
You know
I
what
can see everything better.
You know what I started doing now? You know what I've realized is when I have to look these I'm nearsighted, so you know, to see anything. I mean, you're blurry now. You're not.
Yeah.
But if I look up something up close now, I do this. I have to. I'm much better.
Bifocals are on the way, man.
You're heading that way. That's where I'm at. These glasses right here are bifocals.
But don't you have to do that to?
No, you look down the bottom.
That's what.
Well, I'm nearsighted and I'm wearing contacts right now.
Right.
So if I put a book up to me,
you have readers.
I can't see a fucking thing.
Yeah.
So I have to put the readers on to mitigate the contact strength so I can read.
When I went
You're
to that,
heading that way.
So if I'm looking at my
terrifying.
It's not good. You got 20 years.
If I'm reading my iPad on my Kindle and it's like here, my glasses come off because I see much better up close without my glasses.
Sure.
See,
as soon as you know how in Wrath of Khan when Kurt has to put the glasses on for the first time and he's like, damn, because he realizes he's getting old.
Yeah.
I've been.
This is where you're at. I mean, Gary, if you were wearing contacts now, you would have to put on readers.
So see, I'm still in the good spot.
So either way,
right.
I'm screwed.
No.
Yeah.
There's a wonderful period in your late 30s, though, if you're nearsighted, where I went to the eye doctor last time, and for the first time in my entire life, my prescription got better. So I went from like -8 to -7.5.
Good for you.
And it's because I'm getting farsighted.
They have these things
right,
now
but then the graph goes
so then I'm going to go off the cliff in about 5 more years. And
you will.
Like trifocals or something. It's fucking bad news.
Would the laser surgery completely fix this?
My dad is he was the most blind guy I knew in my life. And he got LASIK surgery, and now he doesn't wear glasses or contacts.
Wow. Can he read up close and far away?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
It was like a miracle.
Did he do the thing where he got one eye one way and one eye the other? So he's got kind of.
I know a couple of people have had it done, and they all say, "Yeah, best thing I ever did."
Yeah,
I'm afraid of it.
I'm afraid of it too. I don't want lasers in my eyes.
No, I don't. I prefer not to have laser beams burning my eyes off.
And you're awake.
You get to hear the burning smell. It smells like
bacon.
I
just got knocked out for the first time this week when I got my colonoscopy. I'd never been knocked out.
They knocked you out for colonoscopy?
They did. I haven't been knocked out in my entire life.
Hold on. Let's say this for what we're testing. This is important stuff. This is good quality content.
Jeff is testing his colon.
I tested my colon.
I do that every day with burritos.
And I passed. My colon passed. But
how far up did they go?
I have no idea because I was out.
Did they give you the video?
I'm going to get photos in the mail.
Jeff's colonoscopy.
Yeah, I'm going to get photos in the mail.
And you got all the jokes. Joke. You got all the jokes about how you're going to live stream it and.
Oh, and because I've been live streaming Dark Souls.
Yeah,
so people made the Dark Souls.
Yeah.
You know,
the darkest soul.
Yeah, exactly. Insert joke here, but what amazed me the most was. You're right. What amazed me the most was like a whole lifetime of like watching TV and movies where someone gets knocked out and then they wake up and they don't remember anything. Like I sort of thought that was just TV in the movies, but like it actually happened and it freaked me the fuck out.
You never had surgery where they needed to?
No, I've never been under ever in my life.
So when I had the appendectomy earlier this year, it was the first time I'd been under real anesthesia. I'd been under like dental anesthesia, which is not quite the same.
Not at all. Yeah.
And I like the last thing I remember was the anesthesiologist kind of fucking with me as I was going under, like saying she said count back from 100 and blah blah blah, and then literally I wake up in a different room.
Yeah, that's what happened to me. And it blew my mind.
Yeah,
it's weird. When I was a kid,
it's like they turn on a switch.
When I was a kid and I would go to the dentist in Britain, they would knock you out for everything. You'd wake up in a different room.
Wow.
They would have a needle here in your arm, and they would say count backwards from 100, and you'd say, "Oh, I'm gonna do it," and 98, you're gone.
Exactly.
You go out fast.
They did general anesthesia for dental work
all the time. I mean, they don't anymore. But
that's more a European
like the late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah, that's a European thing,
I think. Medical practices have changed a lot. And I got knocked out recently, what they call twilight sleep now, I guess. But you're out. I had four fully impacted wisdom teeth. And they knocked me the fuck out.
Yeah.
And you wake up in a different room, and you have to have someone to take you home because you're kind of groggy for a while.
Yeah, that's what happened to me. Yeah.
I woke up when my wife was sitting there. And I remember saying, I was a brave soldier. Because I was still completely...
You thought you were 8 years old. This is all just a dream.
I didn't know what was going on.
Which phone?
Yeah. So I've been knocked out a few times. I would be knocked out. I had to have a teeth cleaning the other day. I said, can you knock me out? I said, fuck off.
Yeah, right.
If you go to the good guy, they'll give you gas.
They gave me the gas, and the gas was pretty good.
Oh, that's fun.
I had such good ideas for stories, but I couldn't write anything down.
You got to carry a voice recorder.
I'm not going to remember them.
Yeah, that would sound great.
But you know what would happen when you play them back?
Of course.
Like, what the fuck was I thinking?
There's an episode of Seinfeld. Can you tell what the squiggle is?
Yeah. In the old magazine days, I would used to, when I had my column, I would always do a pass of the column, let's say not sober.
Okay.
And
just to see if it was intelligible to the people who were reading the magazine.
Well, no, I mean actually writing it. I would think because I would think like, okay, my imagination's a little looser now, and I'm
Just
probably
see-
going to
just
be
see what
funnier.
happens, yeah.
And I would write, and I'd be cracking myself up, and I'm like, "This is the funniest thing I ever wrote."
Yep.
And then I get up in the morning and go, "Oh."
The cold hard light of day
But some of the greatest authors did their best work when they were
Exactly.
hot
And in
as a
fact,
kite.
I would say that about like maybe 5 or 10% of that content did stay in the article, and it would be the funniest joke.
You saved the one good joke. Yeah.
I'd
So
save
you
the
might
one good
actually
joke.
get one legitimately good joke
I
out of
would,
it.
or it would even just sort of inspire what I actually would be writing about.
Yeah.
Like I'd be sort of hitting a wall on what was actually the topic.
Speaking of people who are not sober, did you see the thing about what the Boeing Dreamlifter is?
By the way, we're not getting it. Jeff Cullen is coming back.
I'm
wanna hear all about it.
adding it to the list. Jeff's ass.
Yeah,
good
that's
stuff.
going to make it in the.
It's on the show notes.
Show
Go
notes.
hit the restroom real quick. I'll be right back.
Thanks for sharing, Gary. Do you know what the Boeing Dreamlifter is?
No.
It's a version of the 747 that carries parts for the 787, Boeing's Dreamliner. So it's their ugliest, biggest plane.
It looks like those dolphins that have the weird, like the pimple
sure.
nose,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
they
yeah.
have the big. So it looks like one of those.
Like the guppy.
So that's it.
Oh, wow.
It's
Okay.
a really ugly looking
Yeah,
plane.
it is ugly.
But they carry the body for the 787 in it and other
Cool.
parts.
Okay.
One landed at the wrong airport yesterday, which seems like it wouldn't be a big problem, except for it needs a lot of runway to take off because it's so big.
Uh-oh.
So the runway it landed in South Carolina, I think, is that right, or
Kansas.
was too small for it to take back off on without using pretty much the entire runway. So they accidentally landed at the wrong runway. They're maybe going to unload some of it. Maybe they're going to be able to take off with it still fully loaded. But yeah,
And then what do? They have to like tow it?
you can't tow an airplane. We're going to
I
tow
don't know.
it. You
So
can't
what?
get on the freeway.
The airplane's stuck there forever.
They're going to
now?
hollow it all, take all the stuff out of it that's inside at worst case, and then take it off on the shortest possible takeoff, which is still like 6,000
Wow.
feet. It's
How
a
do
really
you
big
land at the
plane.
wrong airport though?
This is the question I had. Like, how do you?
They do not know.
How do you whiff that? Are you have GPS in the airplane? Like the plane's supposedly just fly themselves.
Did the guy
now.
land and go, "Woo, I made it," and not have any clue he was at the wrong?
There's apparently audio of the landing, of the post landing talk with the air
Yeah.
traffic controller, where the guy's like, "Okay, we're landed. Where do you want us to go?" And the air traffic controller's like, "You're not here. We don't know where you are."
Oh my God!
Right.
This
Right.
guy was high.
Oops.
All right, is it time for Jeff Cullen yet?
No, not yet.
don't know.
Bitcoin. Do you guys? Are you into Bitcoin, Jeff? You seem like you may be a Bitcoin guy.
What do you mean? I'm into Bitcoin.
It's what's
like
used
I have
for
Bitcoin in my
drugs
pocket.
and
You use it to buy drugs
Jeff
and
seems,
pizza.
Jeff seems like the least Bitcoin guy.
I'm on the deep web every night
Yeah.
with Bitcoin.
Buying a lot
You
of-
still
buying
need
a
to
lot
use
of,
that, right?
Right. I don't even know what I mean. I know what Bitcoin is.
I
But
don't
everything I
understand
learned
it,
about
though.
Bitcoin, I learned from an episode of The Good Wife.
Got about them, and then realized that they're now worth like $1 million.
Well, so
Really?
he cashed out when Bitcoin was at $400 like 3 weeks ago, and Bitcoin was at $900 yesterday. So one Bitcoin was $900. It's cryptographic currency. So the idea is that you do crazy high math. Everybody works at the same time on the same problem, and when somebody finds the solution to it, then all the computers that are working on the math, it's like kind of like SETI at home or folding at home, they all shift to the next program. So there's a finite number of Bitcoins that are in the mathematically possible. And when you mine it,
understand.
I'm just
one
gonna
word
take-
you're saying.
Okay, I'm just going to take your word for it.
it's money for nerds and not governments. How's that?
Okay, so it's not Bitcoin is not something we're going to be able to use at Walmart.
People are getting paid in Bitcoin. People are using Bitcoin to launder money. There are some
Nice.
places you can trade Bitcoin for goods or services.
I don't understand how like the inflationary economics of it works though. Like the government decides when to print money and when to not. You can't print too much money because the money becomes worth less. Like how does it work?
This
in the world
takes
of Bitcoin?
that outside of the control of people. The thing that determines how much Bitcoin enters the system is computational power, and the number of people doing the computations, not the Federal Reserve Bank. Basically,
Right, so it seems like it's
So
an
is it more like
unregulated
stock
process.
than money?
It's really it's all that shit is new and people are figuring it out as
I'm just gonna wait for the Planet
if
Money
tons of
episode of
people
this on
started
NPR.
giving over their CPU cycles to mining bitcoins, and suddenly
Yeah.
tons more bitcoins are created.
But the- no,
presumably
no.
the same inflationary mechanism
Here's the thing,
takes
though.
effect, right?
The math is really I can't use words to explain how complex the math has gotten. So the difficulty of mining a Bitcoin expanded exponentially or geometrically as it's progressed, as you've gotten more and more Bitcoins out. So in the early days when one computer could do the math to mine 10,000 Bitcoins in an hour, I don't know if that's a real number or not, I'm just making an example. Now you have to have an exponentially greater number of computational cycles devoted to mine an exponentially less number of bitcoins.
But you can't just on your own mine bitcoins that you own, right?
You can, but it's the odds of doing that at this point are very, very low.
But couldn't China use its
China cares?
But couldn't China create like millions of bitcoins by using its super computers?
At this point, it seems like the math, the cost of running those clusters is less than the value of getting the bitcoins out.
Right.
China has started investing heavily in bitcoins. That's why the Bitcoin value has gone up so dramatically in the last.
So what does it mean to mine a Bitcoin?
So it's like a cryptographic hash. So you're doing you're solving a math problem.
Okay.
And when you get the solution before anyone else, you get a Bitcoin.
So it's like a game.
Except for it's a game that's played by machines, not by us.
Right.
So you're buying computer time.
You're
spending computer time
for currency.
For money.
I see.
Yeah.
But
but you're not
discovering aliens for it. Or
for illicit
initially
transactions.
I think the first transaction was that some guy traded 10,000 bitcoins for a pizza, and then the one after that was probably buying weed.
Because 10,000 bitcoins for pizza.
Yeah,
in today's value, that's like
seriously,
$100,000 $1 million.
$900,000
pizza.
You can get a contract killer for that now.
Hopefully, it was New York pizza at least.
I don't give a fuck what kind of pizza. Well, that guy is the founder of is the first Bitcoin person, so he has lots of. He's
okay. Don't know who created.
And this is
Bitcoin.
attractive because Bitcoin transactions are untraceable, right?
Currently, Bitcoin transactions are theoretically untraceable. Yes,
right. But the Silk Road got shut down, which is where most Bitcoins are spent.
There's plenty of other places to spend Bitcoins.
Okay,
but I think but it's going to be over for marijuana purchases fairly soon, within our lifetime, because the shit's just going to be legal.
Yeah.
And there are Bitcoin ATMs now.
There are Bitcoin ATMs. You can buy beer with Bitcoin.
I read two pot-related news articles this morning. Not to change the subject because it's sort of related.
It's what we talk about here on Tested.
But one of them is that Denver now they're about to open the first. Well, actually, it's somewhere in Colorado. I don't think it's Denver. The first commercial marijuana dispensary, so not medical marijuana.
You can just go in and buy weed?
Anyone.
Because it's legal in Colorado, right?
And the second one is
I'm surprised it took that long.
Heavily taxed. And the second one is that there are now more medical marijuana dispensaries in Denver than Starbucks.
Wow.
Yeah. That's insane.
Growth market.
Yeah.
Total growth market.
Speaking of medical marijuana, Logitech rolled out a device that lets you plug your iPhone into a game controller and turn it into a gamepad this week.
I heard it's not good.
Really?
It's called the PowerShell.
What's the point of that?
So you can play games that that suck with touch controls.
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
right, of course. Duh.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like pretty much every game. That came out before 1997.
Yeah.
Or 2007, rather.
Surely the app has to support it, right?
The apps have to support it, but iOS 7 has a built-in API that includes multiple levels of gamepad support, and it seems like the base level.
Okay, so it's easy to support it.
It is relatively easy to support it. There are a couple of hundred titles that have implemented API.
But I read something about it said it's not good.
I don't know. We got hands on with it.
It's the buttons are a little mushy.
The buttons. It's all analog
not
buttons.
A lot of travel.
So even the thing that looks like a D-pad is an analog pad. The buttons are all analog buttons. We didn't get enough time with it to say whether it's good or bad.
Wide because your iPhone's pretty tall anyway.
Yeah.
It makes your PSP look kind of narrow. I would much rather have something that you clip on, clip the phone onto.
I just can't ever see myself using anything like that.
I know.
Part of me says, look, there's millions of awesome SNES games that I would love to play on my phone, and I would totally do that, except for you're never going to see a SNES emulator for iOS.
Yeah, that'll never happen.
Well, they're the underground.
Yeah, you can jailbreak or whatever.
There's the occasional iOS game that comes out that you could tell this would be a million times better if it wasn't a touch.
All of those shooters, every shooter ever.
Yeah.
Every platformer ever. Like Super Crate Box with a gamepad would be awesome.
Yeah. I downloaded Limbo the other day, which I'd already played on Steam, but I did not like it on the iOS.
It
was just too janky with the touch.
I almost never play arcade-style games, anything that requires that kind of control. I'll play like strategy games and things like that make sense with the touch controls. But the arcade games I might play.
I would love to play Bastion with a gamepad.
I did think, it's not a coincidence, I think, that the runner genre sort of got big on the iOS, right? Because you don't have to do anything.
Requires minimal control. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Look, I have a finger. Yeah. I can fing this game.
And, there's a quiz game on the iPhone that I'm kind of addicted to right now. There's all kinds of things where touch controls are kind of not really relevant.
Are you spamming me the invites? Is the game spamming me the invites?
It's great. You should
Quiz Up?
Yeah. Quiz Up.
I like quiz games.
It's a lot of fun.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just trivia.
Okay.
And there's like 250 categories. You can challenge each other online. It's fun.
It's
free.
This is going to be a real stretch here.
Downloading
but the least relevant story this week.
Other than my colon.
No, I think that's a colon health is
Do
a
I have
no
you
laughing
on
matter.
Game Center, Jeff? You
This
can.
is-
I
We
think
can
we're
challenge
friends.
each other.
Fantastic
All right, we'll figure it
content.
out. It is
Thanks,
good.
Gary.
Okay, sorry.
Always good.
We'll take it off.
It's live.
Oxford's word of the year this year.
Oxford English Dictionary.
Oxford
Oh,
English
God.
Dictionary.
Is it twerk?
No,
No,
you're
close.
close.
That's a
though.
good
You're
bet.
Real
close.
close, Nate. That was.
It's not Bitcoin either.
You're not going to be happy though.
Is it?
Let him guess.
Is it Doge?
What's Doge?
I don't know what that
You
means.
don't know what Doge is?
What's Doge?
I think it may be pronounced Doge.
Oh.
DOGE.
You know
Yeah, what
the-
does it mean?
You know the
I've seen
dog?
that. Yeah.
It's a meme.
Oh, no, it's not Doge.
I think it's
It's not neg, but that's another word I've really
Yeah.
loved this
Neg?
year.
Yeah.
Neg.
Yeah.
Well, Neg's been around for a while.
Has it?
Yeah.
I only heard about it
It's been
this
around
year.
for a couple of years.
Your wife
Okay.
has been
What
in,
does that mean? Is it negative?
Right.
It's a strategy involved to get with a woman by making passively insulting comments about her. To
Right.
lower her
So she'll
self-esteem,
feel bad about herself.
So she'll want to be with
and
you.
then
Right.
you come in and rescue her.
It's disgusting, and it's been around
Yeah.
for a while.
It's the game. What is it? The book, The Game? Isn't
Yeah.
that it?
That's where
that stuff
that
I know
started?
show, that
That's where it
MTV
came
show.
from.
I know
No,
people
no.
think you're kind of overweight, but I think you're really hot.
Yeah, that dress. You look really great in
Full-
that dress. It's really
Yeah,
fucked
yeah,
up.
Yeah.
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 Wow.
So like Gary, have a
Keep
couple
going,
more
Gary.
guesses.
So it's not. Wow. If it's not twerk,
It's related to stuff we've talked about today.
is it? Shit. All right. Let me think. Oh, okay. I got Will with the clue. It's selfie.
It is
correct.
selfie.
Selfie.
You made it too easy.
In the
tells us-
interest of not ruining the podcast, I made it too easy for Gary. This is one of those stories that doesn't matter at all. We do this every year. They mention it every year. We have to talk about it. If we don't talk about it, 50 people will be like, hey, you guys didn't talk about selfie being the word of the year this year. So there you go. Selfie is the word of the year.
It's so the word of the year, sadly,
Now,
but
does that
it
mean
is.
it's going in the dictionary?
No, that'll be another story later, early next year.
they add
when
words
they
to
add
the
words to the
dictionary every
dictionary
year.
that are controversial.
Okay.
Now, do you know what last year's word of the year was?
Twerk.
Nope.
What was it?
I don't want to say it.
Just
because
tell us, 'cause I
remember
don't
now.
remember.
It was GIF.
GIF,
Was it
you mean?
really?
Oh, really? No.
That's weird.
It was.
Timely reference.
Wow. That
They track. They do. There's a big database, and they track trends.
Did you guys know that Southwest is offering Wi-Fi now from Jate to Jate?
Oh my god.
All right.
That was funny.
Yeah, it was very good. Well done.
Southwest has Wi-Fi from gate to gate now. That's great news.
That's great.
I'd have to
Oh,
fight
yeah, that's
Southwest.
great.
You
but-
need something to make that experience more bearable.
Yep. Nokia launched an ARM Windows 8 tablet.
Okay. Crickets.
Monty Python's getting together, and they did
Yay.
an AMA this morning, which was
Yep.
pretty funny.
We're
Oh,
excited
did they?
about that.
Yep. It's worth going back and finding. I enjoyed
Oh,
that.
I got to read it. Wait, so we know one of them has passed away.
We
but
know
it-
that.
but it-
Graham
It was
Chapman
very
said.
sweet though. They tweeted a picture out of
Yeah.
them getting to have their first meeting about what they wanted to do together, and
Yeah.
there was an empty seat for Graham
that's
Chapman with a whole
super
setup
nice.
for him and everything. Yeah,
That's super nice.
Yeah.
So did they say at all what they're actually going to do? Is it
they're
like
going to do either
a national tour? Or?
a series of stage shows.
Yeah.
I will.
But
pay,
I think it might just
I'll
be at
pay
one.
money.
They'll probably get a big London theater to do it.
Oh.
I don't think.
Oh, they're not going to go on tour.
I don't know yet, but I think it's.
That's worth going to London
but
for.
This is
whatever they do is going to wind up. You'll
Yeah.
be able to get a Blu-ray of it. or
This is
something.
the age in which they need to just simulcast it or live stream. I'd pay like $25.
Do you think it'll be like
just to
Secret
watch
Policeman's
it.
Ball or something, like one of their old live shows all
Maybe.
over again? That would be good.
Well, it's kind of the thing where you can go to a theater and they'll
Yeah.
do like the
Gary and I
fancy
did it.
live event or
I'd do
whatever
it.
they're
I'd do
called.
it.
We
I
saw.
just hope it's good. Like you don't want them to do it. And
Yeah.
go, oh, guys, you shouldn't have done
But
this.
these guys are all when they talk, they're still funny.
They're all
They're
great.
funny.
They
Yeah.
are all great.
I mean, it's just.
They were jokes about it though, but I guarantee the reason why this is happening is some of them
money.
need the money. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I totally.
They
believe
actually
that.
said somebody needed the money.
right, and
in
they'll
the-
make a
in the
joke out of it.
thing.
I
but
believe
there is truth behind
But
it.
you know what? That's okay if they're funny.
Yeah.
Who gives a shit?
Who doesn't have? It's Terry Jones, right?
What about him?
He's the one that doesn't have the money, right?
Oh.
He was the one who
Gotta be.
made the joke about it.
Oh,
yeah,
right.
but he's
'cause
also-
he hasn't really had.
I think Michael Palin. I think John Cleese went through a divorce. It probably cost him
Was it Michael Palin?
There's a reason why they do
Michael
it.
Yeah,
Palin's
sure.
in movies, though.
Michael Palin probably is I would guess that Michael Palin is probably the most financially solvent of all of them.
Probably they all need money if we're thinking getting
but
right
a lot
to
of,
it.
a lot of the old rock stars, like it's clear they're doing the mortgage tour, and it's sort of okay.
That's
right?
okay as
If they're
long as
good.
they just play the hits.
Yeah,
that's
you're
what
right.
That's what
Yeah,
we
none
Don't
of that
sell us
new
on your
album
new
bullshit.
shit. Yeah, don't sell us on that.
Bring out the dead parrot. That's what I want
don't
on
you
my
think
Monty
that?
Python show.
But I would trust them that they could come up with funny news.
I would
stuff.
actually, unlike like with the Stones come out with a new album, you have to, if you go to their show, you got to listen
You
to some
have
of their
to hear
shitty
that
tracks.
shit.
And that's
Yeah.
when you go to the bathroom.
Right.
I'm with Jeff. I believe that Monty Python could do all new material and it would be great.
And it'd be fun.
Well, and like they hit Spamalot as a raging success, right?
Yeah. Well, if you look at their individual careers, they've all done a bunch of great stuff.
Very successful, all of them.
Terry Gilliam's continued to make great movies.
Right.
Yeah.
John Cleese has continued to be funny and done great stuff. Everyone enjoys watching him. Michael Palin kind of stopped doing comedy, but has always been watchable going around the world on those
That
BBC
stuff is great.
worldwide tours and stuff.
Is John Cleese still Q?
No.
No,
was such a
he
good
got
Q.
replaced.
They got the kids Q.
He was never
that's
Q
right.
anyway. He was R.
Even better. That's
right.
It was a funny joke.
Eric Idle's the one that I think is most kind of held on to the Python legacy,
Yeah.
like doing Spamalot and stuff like that, and continuing to try to.
Yeah, you could kind of
leverage
tell
that.
he sort of never got over it or wanted to.
Terry Jones, I think, has gone on, continued to be funny in his own right, writing books, and
Very good.
did weird things like writing the novelization of Starship Titanic.
Really?
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
That AMA is funny also because of the way they handled people quoting Monty Python
my
lines
God.
at them, which that has to be the worst thing about being a
I'm
Python
sure
is
it must
everywhere
be.
you go.
I'm sure.
I'm not dead yet.
You're right.
Yeah.
Their whole lives.
Everywhere.
So
Can't
what
go
did
to
they
the
do?
grocery
How did
store.
they
Do you
handle
have a
that?
favorite Monty Python?
Just
bit?
read the. Everybody should have a favorite Monty
I
Python.
know, but the
bit.
question is, what would it be?
Mine is
What's your favorite movie? Make it
Well,
easier
for me,
you.
it's Holy Grail.
The Life of.
I think that's most people's favorite.
I like Life of Brian a
The
lot.
single funniest moment, a specific moment ever in Monty Python is when I was a kid. I thought I was going to hurt myself. My parents worried about me. I was laughing so hard. They thought I was having a fit, like an epileptic fit or something. Is when Brian is being chased by the Romans and goes up in that tower and falls from the tower and is caught in midair by an alien spaceship.
Yes.
And then just goes and has a whole 5-minute alien space battle and then crashes back to Earth. That whole sequence, I was just laughing my fucking head off.
Completely nonsensical.
Oh no, wait, that's Life of Brian. So you're
That's
saying
Life
Holy
of
Grail?
Brian.
I'm saying
Yeah.
I'm getting mixed up. The Life of Brian is my favorite, I think. Holy Grail's good.
Life of Brian is pretty funny. So, how old were you when you were introduced? So I first saw Monty Python when I was probably in 7th grade.
That's about
at like
right
a
for
sleepover
me.
at a friend's house.
Yeah,
so
that
I was
seems to be
12
the
or
age.
13.
I mean, I'm old enough to remember when it was on, like when Monty Python had new shows on BBC One or BBC Two and whatever it was, like that evening. I was watching
Yeah.
the original broadcasts. It was
Yeah, I
pretty
was
great.
watching the first time it was on PBS, which was
Yeah.
after you were watching it.
Yeah.
But it was still unknown to Americans largely.
And it was
Yeah.
it was a little dense. It was something we'd not seen before.
It is really interesting that all these guys were they Oxford, Cambridge? They were all
I think
super
they were
genius
all from
guys.
the same university.
But
From
Footlights.
Footlights, yeah.
Okay, but that the humor appeals largely at first to like adolescent boys.
Yeah, because
right?
it's so absurd.
Right.
Yeah.
There had never been, I think, that kind of surrealistic humor that had really been
Yeah.
done like on a broad. Oh, you'd seen it. You might have seen it on the stage or whatever, but it'd never been.
But they were
on
always
television.
great to throw in like fairly arcane erudite jokes.
Yeah, because
Well,
they
yeah.
were all well educated.
right.
My
Oscar Wilde
favorite
skits.
Yeah.
My favorite is the writers sportscast. I don't remember what it's called, but the one where they're doing the first chapter of the new novel, and I think John Cleese and I can't remember who else is there, like the sportscasting announcers of the guy sitting in the middle
I
of the
remember now.
stadium.
Yeah.
Like writing the first line of the
Oh,
book.
it's the.
Nope. It's the.
He's erased it.
Yeah, exactly. That's
I think my favorite one is the family of hardworking northern poets. So the son is a tremendous disappointment because he wants to be a coal miner. Do you remember that one?
Right, I do. Yeah, they are great. To
It's
get,
good.
I'm even a big fan of Meaning of Life. A lot of people don't like that one.
Meaning of
I
Life's
like
great.
a lot
Meaning
of
of
good
Life.
material in the Meaning of Life.
I was
Yeah.
disappointed at the time, but to me, it's held up.
I liked it when I was in
now-
7th grade because there were boobs.
Mr. Creosote, which is actually
course.
one of the most loved Scott Python sketches.
It has
comes
the
from
good
that
bit about
movie.
the Irish, with the
Irish?
babies.
That's not in Ireland. That's in Northern England.
No, the meaning of life. It's pores versus
Yeah, It's
okay.
every sperm is sacred.
Yeah, exactly.
I was actually super
I used to know
partial
about
to
Catholics.
I was super partial to the vinyl records.
I do remember as a kid watching that sequence where John Cleese, the sex education class, where he fucks his wife in front of the classroom of kids.
that was
Watching
pretty-
it
yeah.
was like, as a kid, I was like, "What is this?"
This is a whole new world of weird sexual behavior.
The rugby game where the kids play the Masters and
Yeah,
the
that one
Masters
was
just
great.
beat the shit out of the kids.
Meaning of Life is terrific.
It's great. It's a very
They're all very
underrated
good.
Python film.
And Mr. Creosote's the fat guy, right?
Yes, who eats
Yeah,
everything
yeah.
and explodes.
Way for Thin Men.
Yeah.
I think one of my favorite skits from the TV show, not the movies, was the how to defend yourself against a man armed with a banana.
Yes.
You know that one, and they're
Yeah.
all how about pointed sticks?
Yes.
You know that one. And
Upper class Twitter of the year. I mean, the
upper class
list,
Tweet of the year.
the list
sure,
goes
of
on
course.
and on and on
and on.
The Travel Society.
Just yeah,
Minister of Silly. I mean, it goes on. Yeah, you can. You can
It's
go
good
forever.
stuff. You should watch Monty
I
Python.
don't know what they'll do. I
hope they do something new.
I don't think people want to see them do the parrot sketch again. Like,
yeah,
I think they would like to see some new material.
because I think it'd be sort of like you're just clapping out of recognition as opposed to like laughing because it's funny.
Well,
like, yay, they're doing that thing again.
Here's the thing: the world is so absurd now compared to 30 years ago. Like, there's lots of material out there for them.
Right.
You know, there's no shortage of new material.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what they. I think there's some risk involved because there's always a chance that it might not be good. But I think you got to have faith in these guys.
And there was a hole without Graham Chapman there, right? He played a key role there.
Yeah, he was terrific.
South Park. Well, there was the Trey Parker Matt Stone bit in the AMA was really funny. B, South Park has been doing some real banner work relating to the new consoles the last couple of weeks. I haven't actually watched it. People told me that it was banner work. Has anybody watched the South Park, the console war?
It didn't make sense to me that the Black Friday episode where the kids were arguing about what console they were all going to go get.
Yeah,
they were arguing. There was a division between.
Does Kenny get a console?
I can't remember what Kenny was doing.
Oh, it is Black Friday, so they get it cheap.
Okay,
but they were, they fought over whether or not they should all go get PlayStations or Xboxes. And it seemed to me like they should be happy about the fact that they were split because there's more chance that they would all get the console they would want. If they wanted the same one, there'd be fewer to go around.
Well, but they want to play. They want to
play
games with
together.
each other.
They want momentum.
Yeah.
I mean, comedic and farcical though it is, it does. I mean, this is something that fucking kids.
Hey, which game
about.
are you going to get? Which system are you getting Need for Speed on, Gary?
Still haven't decided.
I'm on PS4.
I hate that I have to make that decision.
In the old days, you probably wouldn't have had to make that decision, right? With the last generation.
You couldn't have played
You would have just
multiplayer.
said 360.
360. I mean, it wouldn't even have been close. But now I don't know which way it's going to go.
Right.
The two things that would decide for me were the Friends ecosystem and the controller, and both of those now are not. That is not the obvious.
controllers.
Do you think it's at parity now?
I think the DualShock 4 is so much improved over the old one that, and I've tried the Xbox One. I've got an Xbox One controller at home as well. The two of them.
You just see they're holding it all by yourself.
I like the DualShock 3. Is that a minority opinion?
You're wrong.
That's a minority opinion?
Yeah. The concave triggers are fucking
So
unusable.
I've been playing Resogun and a couple of other things with the DualShock 4, and I'm having to pick up the DualShock 3 to go back to The Last of Us.
Yeah.
And it's just horrible.
Why don't you just kick yourself in the balls over and over again?
Practically, it feels like what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Last of Us, man, that's a fucking stressful game.
That game is...
That's my wife, she's loving what she's like. Well, you want to play Mushroom People tonight? Like, I want to watch you watch the game, and I'm enjoying playing it.
Mushroom People.
She calls it Mushroom People.
The Mushroom People are horrible.
Clickers.
It's the first game I've ever. It is the most legitimately stressed. I almost don't want to play it because it's so fucking stressful.
Wow.
I mean it as a
Seriously?
compliment.
Yeah, it's really
I
good.
mean it as a compliment.
Have you played it?
No.
You should play it. It's really good.
You would like it.
Well, it's
But
a lot like
really,
Children of
really
Men.
stressful.
Yeah.
It's Children of Men, the game.
Kind of, yeah.
Great.
Yeah, it's great.
It builds tension and it's really good.
But
and Ellen Page is fantastic.
They put a fantastic emphasis on the importance of stealth because once combat starts, like it's the kind of combat like you get killed by a couple of bullets, or if a clicker gets a hold of you, you're dead. I mean,
right.
But the thing about the stealth in that game that I liked is that unlike most other stealth games where when stealth breaks, you just are in a reload the checkpoint situation.
Yeah.
In that game you can frequently just bulldoze through.
You can,
and it's okay.
But you can just as often die as well.
Oh yeah. But either way, it's kind of satisfying. Like I was okay with. I didn't feel like the stealth fucked me at any point.
But the gun battles that I've had in that game are as close an approximation to how it might feel to be in a real gun battle. Like shit, if this guy sees me, I'm fucking dead.
You don't have a lot of bullets.
You've only got a handful of bullets. You can't just machine gun the room. If someone grabs a hold of you, it's you could, whether or not you live or die is who knows.
I can't wait to talk to you about the end. How far are you? Are you at winter yet?
No, not even close.
Okay.
I'm at the point where you meet the guy that's going to go help you find the parts for the car.
Yes.
Oh
Bill.
Christ! Oh
So
yeah,
I think
you're
I'm maybe
barely
like
in.
a third of a way through.
Not even.
Well, completion says 30-something%.
Okay.
It started as a Jack and Daxter game.
Really?
Yeah, at Naughty Dog.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And then they said, let's make it serious, real game.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really good. And the quality of the quality of the cinematics and voice acting is probably the best I've ever seen in a game.
It's
I gotta play it.
The script is really good too. Like
Well, I mean, I'm including all of that.
Yeah. I mean, it's there's
great writing, great performance, particularly great voice performances. Incredible rendering of the character faces. I mean, it feels like you're watching a movie.
So the game of the year?
It's high on my list.
Some people think it's the best game of the generation.
Wow.
Yeah, I like usually when I play games, there have been a handful of games over the years that I've played with Gina sitting in the living room with me that she hasn't at some point burst out laughing at dialogue. And
That doesn't happen in this game.
It doesn't happen in this game
At all.
Yeah,
They sort of.
there was one place where they kind of fucked up, but I think that was just a bad random draw.
They do
It's
sort of
really-
have a history of that. I mean, there are other games.
The Uncharted games are fantastic.
ugh, I
No.
don't like Uncharted.
Really?
What?
We've talked about this way.
So
too
when
much
I made
before.
my big bag of games to go trade in, there was a few things that even though I'm probably never going to play them again, I sentimentally could not part with. The Uncharted trilogy
Yeah.
on PlayStation, the Mass Effect trilogy that I have on
Wii U?
Xbox,
Oh.
and Red Dead Redemption. Can't let it go.
Oh God,
Wow, really?
such a great
You
game.
want to talk about games of the generation?
That's my favorite
Incredible.
Rockstar game.
Yeah,
to date.
mine too.
Yeah.
Incredible game.
Too many horses.
Love that game.
Should we talk about what we've been testing a little bit in Jeff's colonoscopy?
Yeah.
Sounds good. Oh, hey, as a PSA, Black Friday, all the Black Friday deals are out now, it seems like. Best Buy, Amazon, Target, all that stuff. So if you want to know where to go wait in line to buy some shit, you can do that.
It still amazes me that people do it.
I pre-ordered the PlayStation at GameStop, and when I went at 6 o'clock on Thursday night to like pay, because they were like, if you pay, you can just come in at midnight, pick it up. I was like, that sounds great. I can just walk in, grab the console, and be done. There were people lined up waiting for the pre-order.
Yeah.
Like waiting for their pre-orders. That's anathema to the whole point of pre-ordering.
I'm almost certain that I used to enjoy it back in the day. I lined up for a lot of things. The iPhones, the iPads. I lined up for Rock Band when it first came out. Or the Wii U I lined up overnight. Sorry, the Wii I lined up overnight. It can be fun if you do it with friends and there's kind of a spirit of camaraderie and stuff and you feel like you've earned it. But I'm over it, I think. I will be looking for Black Friday deals, but there'll be online deals.
Yeah.
So Retina Mini, we talked about a little bit.
Great.
I tested this sous vide thing.
Okay.
It's an immersion circulator from Innova. We just shot a long in-depth with it yesterday.
Is that the
That'll be
Kickstarter
up
one?
soon. No, the Kickstarter one is, there's 3 or 4 Kickstarter ones, but the Kickstarter one you're thinking about is the Sensair.
Okay.
Which is out later this year, hopefully, if they make.
I am
they
interested
pushed it again?
I am interested in sous vide because I do eat a lot of meat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's great. I mean, the benefit of sous vide is that you can cook something precisely to the doneness that you want without any chance at all of overcooking.
Right.
You guys will have to come down. We'll make eggs for you sometime because the eggs are pretty bomb.
Yeah, I'm into it.
But watch for that video.
And it's like a clean way to, I mean, there's very little cleanup if you cook that way, right? 'Cause it's all just boiled underwater.
It's a little bit more time, but yeah, you don't have like splatter from a greasy pan. Although you do have to sear or whatever. Like if
Right.
you're making red meat or pork or something like that, you're going to want to put a sear on it.
That's okay.
I also tested this new Asus router. It's the RT-AC66U, which is their AC router. My old 5-year-old N router died, and I needed to get a new one. So I figured I'd get the AC because why not?
Yeah.
It was a little bit more expensive.
How much for a router?
I think it was $170 versus $100 for the dual band. I was either gonna get a dual band N router or the dual band AC router. So I got that dual band AC router and figured we'd talk about it on the site.
If you're in the market for a router now, it makes sense to get AC, right? Just to
I don't think so. I think I would just get the N. I would get a 5.8/2.4
Is AC
gigahertz
still
N.
draft or is it like fully done?
It seems like the hardware stuff is done, and it's just, you'll get a firmware update at some point in the future.
Okay.
It is really hard to recommend that router.
But what do you have in your house that would even talk to it over AC?
A Kindle Fire, maybe?
Yeah, so how would you even know if you're getting the benefit?
I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about even with N performance.
Oh, okay.
So the problem with it is that even N performance is bad with the default software. I had problems with dropped signal and all sorts of crazy shit, and I finally just put DDWRT on it, which is the kind of user-created third-party firmware. It made a huge difference. It's actually usable now. So if you're gonna buy Asus routers, don't.
The routers are like the one thing
somebody
that
else's
I don't know
firmware
what
on
the fuck
them.
I'm doing. Everyone will tell you something different.
I feel like it's just one of those necessary evils. Just tell me what to buy.
Yeah.
I don't want to think about it.
Everybody has Wi-Fi.
I have a time capsule at home, and it's pretty.
I also, when I
Works
was
well for me.
It works. Yeah.
in a previous career too, I had the modem and router beat at Mac Week magazine.
Seriously?
I did.
Wow.
So even like you guys talking about
When
it
the
now,
hell
just
was
like
that?
gives me fucking
Like the
shivers.
'80s?
Did you learn or have to learn a lot about?
I
modems
had
and
to
routers?
learn it because I had to write about it.
Yeah. I mean,
that was like 93.
Networking is voodoo science to a lot of people, but it's not that much to it.
The whole
once you
world of
understand the
like port
basics.
forwarding and all that stuff, it just drives me.
That was actually what got me into game journalism, because I was at Macweek magazine. You know, I was a gamer. I was playing games all the time.
Yeah. On your Mac?
And I was reading the gaming magazines. I was reading. Actually, you guys weren't there yet. This was before PC Gamer.
What year? How far are we going back?
We're going back to like 91.
Yeah, PC Gamer started in 93.
Okay, so, and I was reading Computer Gaming World at the time, which was owned by Ziff Davis, which owned Macweek, the same magazine. And I was just like, why the fuck do these guys get to do this for a living?
Isn't the Johnny Wilson
hate my
days?
job. This is the Johnny Wilson like. So I wrote him a letter, an email, just internal Ziff, and I was like, I've got to get out of here. Like, please fucking hire me. And that's how I got the job. But
what was your first job on CGW?
I was the adventure game and sports game editor.
Well,
That's
so
kind
one
of
of
a
those
weird
beats
combo.
is great, and
It
one
was
is
a weird
terrible,
combo.
right?
Well, the reason was because George Jones left. He was the sports editor at the time
Right.
of Computer Gaming World.
Wow.
So I had to
So
fill his
that was when he
niche.
left to go to Game Center, right?
Yes.
Wow.
And then there was also just happened to be they needed someone to cover adventure games, which at that time actually needed a dedicated editor,
And,
which is
yeah.
weird to think about now.
Yeah.
Well, they're kind of coming back.
They're kind
A
of
little
coming
bit.
back. Yeah. Well, Walking Dead.
Telltale's doing its bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're doing. Oh, have you played? We're
Among
all
Us?
over the map now, but yeah, Wolf
Yeah, it's
Among
fine.
Us.
No, they very kindly gave me a Steam code for the season, so I have it.
It's
ready to
good.
go. I just haven't had time to play it.
It's
yet.
good.
I hear it's great.
It is. It's really good.
Yeah.
It's on the list of games I'm going to play.
I think
over
it's
the
too
holiday.
soon to compare it to Walking Dead.
Well, because there's only the one episode.
right, but the first episode really solid.
They're really hitting their stride lately.
Yeah.
There's a Game of the Year edition of Walking Dead coming out.
Nice.
I think later this month. That has a really. I just watched it last night. They sent me an advanced copy of it, like a 35-minute documentary about the making of the
Oh,
game.
cool.
And
Are
it's
you in
actually
it?
got. I am in it.
Do you have any kind of like facial deformities on this one, or are you all clear?
No, I managed
that
to,
After Earth?
No, I actually look pretty good. I'm actually thinking about taking a screen cap.
That's pretty
from it
good, yeah.
and using it as a headshot because it's the only time I've ever seen myself on
Dude, the
camera that I don't hate the way I look.
The After Earth cold sore is
I don't know if you
pretty
heard about this.
notable.
I had
No,
the-
I've seen it.
So
I saw
I had
the
a
cold
massive taco stain on my face when I did
Right.
the Book of Eli interview. No one told me about it. And then I couldn't avoid it. I had a cold. Like, I knew.
Yeah, I've
I had
seen
to
that
go. I had
photo.
to go to LA to do the After Earth special feature interview thing, and 2 days before I was supposed to go, I felt the tingle, and I was like, every
I'm
now and
fucked.
again I get it, and I was like, fuck.
Don't they have like teams of makeup artists and stuff for that kind of thing?
This was this stuff. Unless you're like Will or one of the top
Okay,
guys,
they don't
they
care.
don't care.
Yeah.
They'll just throw you in front of a camera.
Okay.
But it's
You're
still,
lucky to
but
get
it's
your
still
5
HD.
Yeah.
Can you bring your own Vaseline and just smear it on the glass?
So, and then the day I had to go to Telltale, if I know I'm going to do something in front of a camera, I'll shave the night before. Because what
Sure.
you don't want to do is shave in the morning and cut yourself, and then it's
Yeah.
a thing. But I didn't do that. I shaved in the morning, I cut myself, and you can kind of see a little bit where I cut myself shaving, or where my skin is still a little bit red from having shaved only a couple of hours before. But it's
I've been happy when I've been on TV and they'll do like the powder and
pancake,
stuff.
yeah.
Because at first I was like, oh god, this is awful and embarrassing. But then when I saw myself without it, I got like the Nixon jowls and the upper lip sweat, and I was like, oh fuck,
Well,
I need that.
We do the powder,
Powder.
sometimes.
Do
when
you?
When it's gonna when we're gonna do
makes
something
sense.
that goes for a long time and we get sweaty because it gets hot in here, then you powder
Yeah.
a little bit.
Yeah, you need it a little bit just to not have the shiny
Yeah, the
face
shiny
syndrome.
face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna save your colonoscopy for last.
Got
Norm,
it.
do you have anything you want to talk about, or Gary?
we're
We're
going-
good. Straight for the colonoscopy.
Yeah, I want to hear
Why
about
is this a topic of discussion?
Well,
It's
it's important.
interesting.
Hold on.
is it interesting?
We're-
Katie Couric, remember?
Yeah,
a
right.
big proponent of the colonoscopy.
Will and
Yeah.
I are at an age where we're going to have to deal with it.
Right.
yeah, I'm
well, it's a
coming up
preventative
soon.
thing.
So
now,
this
right?
was a routine thing?
It's
that you're just at the
it's
age where you should
routine
have
when
it
you
done?
well, in fact, so I turned 52 in October.
Happy birthday.
And thank you. And you're supposed to get it at 50,
You're
which
the
I
same
didn't.
age as Walter White.
I am the same age as Walter White. Yeah.
Wow.
In fact, on the
Bacon
day of my birthday, I tweeted the photo of him making it the pancake
with the bacon.
Yeah.
And we can finally talk about that show in front of Norm now because he made his way all the way through it.
Yeah,
Were you satisfied
absolutely.
by that
But
experience?
are we allowed? But we still want
I wouldn't-
spoiler
I
alerts
wouldn't
spoil.
for- Yeah.
But I'm just glad that Norm can now join.
Yeah.
us.
We met Vince Gilligan last week.
What are you talking about? His new deal?
Yeah, no, we met him.
You met him?
Yeah, we did a
Oh
talking
my God.
round.
We just posted it. That's what I've been
That's
working
what
on.
Norm's been
Holy
posting.
shit!
We just posted
Okay.
a-
That's
a
serious.
video.
That's serious.
Nicest
Professional
dude
jealousy.
ever.
He
I
was
bet.
he was like most collegial dude ever, and
He seems
and
very
Adam-
humble.
It's super humble.
Which is crazy.
Well, and like the thing so in the lead up to this interview with Adam, we like went through and did some research for him, and I had no idea, but Vince Gilligan wrote some of my favorite episodes of the X-Files too.
That's right.
Like he wrote Pusher, which is the one about the guy that says, cerulean blue or whatever, and the dude jumps out in front of the car.
He wrote an episode that had Bryan Cranston.
He wrote the Bryan Cranston episode of X-Files. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
So anyway, sorry, we were talking about your ass.
I'd rather talk about Vince Gilligan and
you should just watch the video. It's really good.
He talks about Breaking Bad?
He talks about Breaking Bad. They talk about like making of, and they explain how writers' rooms in TV shows work in kind of more detail than I'd heard before.
Gary can tell us that stuff.
Did you see Anthony Hopkins, what he wrote to
Yeah,
Bryan
I thought that was
Cranston?
very, very
Wasn't
smart.
that cool?
What did he say?
And
Just how it was like the
well-deserved
best
as well.
acting job he'd ever seen.
Anthony Hopkins binge watched it.
It is pretty amazing,
Yeah.
especially the last couple of seasons.
Right.
It's just incredible.
And when
to
you
watch.
think about just the sum total of like the amount of hours it is, I mean, just about the
63
show in general.
hours, yeah.
It's 63 hours of practically TV perfection.
As good as and I'll try to do this without spoiling.
Yeah, yeah.
Or I can just say, look, there's going to be some Breaking Bad spoilers coming up. so
Let's
maybe I'm gonna skip ahead.
let's do that at the end.
All right, you want to do it in?
We'll do it. We'll do fake
And then
outtakes.
people
We'll bring
can
it
tune
back.
out.
The ass camera.
Ass, yeah.
The
ass
ass
We'll
camera.
come back and fake outtakes will be a spoiler zone.
We're gonna
I just
do
want to make
spoiler
one
zone.
quick point. Most movies can't make it for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And it's incredible. Like there is almost no bad episode.
A lot of
Breaking
movies
Bad.
can't make it for an hour and a half because they only have an hour and a half.
Yeah, he talks about this.
true.
This
Yeah,
is something he talks
good
about.
point.
The reason why television
good
is
point.
the reason why television is so attractive. I've got a couple of TV projects that I'm trying to get going right now for this reason.
Yeah.
Is that writers are so much more attracted to the idea of like by the time you get to the end of this Breaking Bad is a very, very high bar. No one seriously
Yeah.
thinks they can make a show as good as that.
Yeah.
I mean, you should always have that ambition, but you can't realistically expect to make something that good, which is
Right.
Breaking Bad is legitimately one of the greatest pieces of entertainment made in the 21st century.
I'm with you.
It's incredible.
Absolutely.
The reason why you're so invested is not just because it's a great story, because it's a great story you've been watching for 5 years.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah,
feel like
you're
you
right.
know those characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very,
Very
very
true.
hard
Well,
to do.
Very
and he talks about it a ton. It's a really good. I've listened to it like 3 times over the last couple of weeks as we've gone through edits and stuff on it. He talks about stuff with the creative process and how they ended up at the places that they ended up and how they get there and how plotted it is in advance and how kind of they let the story tell itself. And he talks about a lot about it being like a 13 episode season making a huge difference because they have 7 weeks sometimes to work on an episode before they have to actually shoot and
I'm sure that
time
they
to make it
probably,
good.
I mean, I obviously haven't listened to it. I'm sure they discovered a lot along the way. But what's amazing is how like inevitable it actually all felt. Like it felt so natural the way it went down.
Yeah, I mean, the remarkable thing is you always assume these things are planned out meticulously.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think Vince Gilligan himself has said that when they started the first season with that machine gun in the trunk, and you go, oh, that's going to come into play.
Yeah,
They had no idea how that was.
That's
they were like,
crazy
They
that
were like,
they
we
did.
better figure out how to pay this off. And of
Yeah.
course, they came up with a brilliant way to do it, but they didn't know how that machine gun was going to feature. into
That
the
makes
end
it
of the
just that
show.
much better.
Yeah.
And that makes them like twice as cool. Like
Yeah, you actually admire it more that they didn't know ahead of time.
yeah, they sort of they put themselves in the corner here, right?
Yeah.
Like they have to check
And the
out
stuff that they
gun.
did plan, season 2 is the one where they did plan from beginning to end with the pool.
Oh yeah, clearly,
And-
right?
And that one, I don't think panned out as well as they'd hoped it would.
Really, because I like that.
I mean, the
I mean, I
big
like the whole
ending,
thing.
the big reveal of why that stuff happened.
Oh, I
Like,
see. Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll talk.
Anyway.
So the
it was
colonoscopy.
back to my ass.
Do you go every year?
No, see, that was the thing. I went in for a physical around 52, and the reason I went in for a physical is because I'm leaving EA, so my benefits are going to run out. So
Okay.
I was like, oh shit, I better go get a physical while they can still pay for it.
Yeah.
Right.
So I went in, and I hadn't been in years, and the doctor just said, "Have you ever had a colonoscopy?" And I said, I didn't actually know what that was, honestly, because I've had, they stick their
prostate check.
The prostate
That
check.
starts when you're 40.
So I had that, and I was like, I thought maybe that's what it was, and they were like, no, this is a whole different thing. So I was like, oh, I've never had one. I said, well, you're 2 years behind, so we're going to
So
schedule
50
one right
is
now.
the age at which
50
they
is the
say you
age.
should start getting it
Okay.
done.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
and earlier if you have a family history of colon cancer
colon
and stuff like that.
And it's all preventative. And the good thing about it, I mean, there's really nothing good about it, but the good, but the
Well,
good,
there is a good thing about it.
the good thing is that it's when you get the colonoscopy, if they actually find anything, they get rid of it right there.
Oh,
Yeah.
Like
really?
it's an all-in-one thing.
How do they do that?
So the way colon cancer works is it's just little polyps that form
Right.
that are precancerous on the inside of the colon. So it's one of those cancers that's really, really bad if you let it go.
Right.
But if you get it while it's still in the polyp phase, it's like eminently treatable, and the survival rate's really huge.
But how do they do
And
it
you don't
right
have to
there and
do-
then?
The camera
So-
also.
The
Right,
camera
so
also
has
is a laser and a.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so they go in, and if they see a polyp, they just remove it,
Fucking science.
whether it's cancerous or not.
Right, they vacuum it out, and then they
after
biopsy
they look
it.
at it, and yeah, they biopsy it after. So they'll say, "Well, you had 3 polyps, and none of them were cancerous, but they're gone." This
is incredible.
Or they are cancerous, and they're gone, and now you don't have
Well, because
cancer.
I think the polyps can turn into cancer even if they're benign to begin with, right?
They can, but even if you have cancerous polyps, it turns out that's okay as long as you catch it early enough.
How far, like, in terms of, like, how far up does it go? Like, how
I
much scope
actually-
do you have in you?
I think they
Have you ever
go
seen a
all the way
plumber's
up.
So
snake?
they just keep...
I think they do.
They reach the
This
end
is why
of
they
the
put
large
you under.
intestine. Right, Norm is not doing well
and,
here.
and how does it
But-
circumnavigate all the twisty
I
turns?
don't- I have no idea.
It's got, it's like a snake light where you have the joystick
Oh,
on
is
the
it
end.
like when the Navy SEALs stick that thing
Yeah,
under the door?
right,
So
that's-
you
it's
look
just
direct,
like
but
a
it's going up
joystick.
your ass.
Yes, that's
camera.
what it is. And they're looking around.
So they jam and then they're like, we
It is
hit the
exactly
turn.
that.
We're
Yeah,
in the
Norm's
nor-
face
we're in
is
the nor-
awesome.
We've entered the Norm discomfort
He doesn't want to
zone.
hear this for 2 decades. But the great thing is, they put me under. Like, I have no recollection. They were
Wait,
up
was-
my ass for an hour, and I've got
How do you go under? Is it a needle in your arm?
It was a needle in my arm. It was
Okay.
an IV. But, they have you, they
Are
have,
you already like face down when they?
No, what they do is they actually, so you lay down on your back. You've got
Okay.
the gown on, the hospital gown, but, with the back open.
Right.
They specifically tell you don't tie it in the back. 'cause,
Right.
Okay. Yeah,
You
they
know,
just have
and
to
then,
untie
and
it.
then I laid down. She said, roll
Do
over.
you, do you like tuck the bait and tackle when you're rolling over? Or
So what
is that
they did is they
flapping out in between your legs.
They
What do you
positioned
mean, like
me.
Silence of the Lambs style?
So they
no.
they position you. So they
Okay.
had me roll over onto my left side.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then
It's a
they
professional
they
podcaster.
drape my right leg over my left.
Oh, so you're not on
that
you're not on your belly. You're on your side.
you're on your
Okay.
side. And then and then you're just exposed. And then she said, "Okay, we're gonna sedate you now." And I. And I said, "Oh, I'm feeling tingly." And that's what I said
gone.
out loud to her. And the next thing, it was an hour and a half later.
Wow.
And I remember nothing.
Yeah, you will go out like a light.
Yeah, it was crazy. But as everyone says, and as you will find out when you get to my age, the worst part is the day before. It's not the colonoscopy because you're asleep. You don't even know you have nothing.
Are you sore afterwards?
Not at all.
No, the
don't
day-
feel
you're
a
saying the day
goddamn
before.
thing. The day before.
Okay.
Because you have to do the colonoscopy prep.
Yeah.
This is what you have to fear.
Go on, tell
or
me about
dread.
it.
It's
Tell
not
me about
fear.
it.
Okay. Well, they're going to be looking up your ass for an hour. It needs to be clean.
Okay.
They don't want stuff
Oh,
in
you
there.
don't have to take an enema, do you?
It's not an enema, but they give you this gigantic jug. I mean, it's like huge of liquid that you have to drink over the course of a very short amount
Is it
of
like
time
one of
the
those,
day
like
before.
those massive like bodybuilder protein
Have you ever seen
powder barrels that you
Dumb and
get?
Dumber?
Yes, it's like one of those.
Okay.
And you have to drink a full glass every 20 minutes for the whole day before, and basically it just gives you on purpose
Horrific
massive
diarrhea?
Oh. And you basically
So
have
you're
to
just
spend
shitting all
You're
day.
shitting all day, and you have to just basically spend the day about 10 feet from the bathroom. And my friends who are
So can
older,
you-
So you can't. I mean, you have to. You're locked down.
your day,
You're
like
under house arrest
everybody
for the
told me,
day.
yeah, you're under house arrest. Don't make any plans.
So you can't go to can you take off that day?
You have to. You
No,
have
let
to.
me-
like,
let me
when
ask
you-
this.
Unless you
when
want to
fill out
ruin
the
your
form-
coworkers.
After you took your first glass
Yeah.
of this stuff, how quickly after that did you feel an urge
no,
need to go?
it takes about an hour and a half.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
And then at first you're going like, but
Is it like you get the
but
gurgles?
it builds up. You get serious gurgles.
Oh.
But then by the time you're on like the 10th hour, and you feel like there's not possibly anything left. There couldn't be. Then that's the worst part. Then like all the stuff you didn't even know existed like starts like pumping out of your body. I mean,
Really?
basically they're flushing the inside of your body.
So
How,
is it like
how many
different?
how many different times did you go to the toilet?
I mean, I don't even know if I could count because like you're constantly just sort of like there were periods where you're just like, I'm not going to get up because I know I'm going to be back here in 10 minutes. Like it's not worth it for me to go back to the couch.
See, this is when remote play.
This is when
comes
Yeah.
in.
This is why you need
Vita
remote play.
comes in
This is how we
here.
tie it in.
Yeah.
The podcast has gone full circle. Wow. And the thing is, like, friends had warned me, and I thought, they're being.
Sorry.
I thought people were being drama queens or whatever, or they're just being dramatic
I've
for comedy.
pooped before.
It's serious. Like, it's serious.
Who cleans that up?
And then, are you doing this through the night as well, or can you eventually go to sleep?
No, you eventually can go to sleep because the way they time it, like you're done with the bottle, and you really do at some point. There's nothing left.
Do you feel
It's just like
cleansed?
air?
Do you feel any different by the end of it?
I did. You know what was weird was the next day after the colonoscopy, when I could finally eat again. I did have this moment of,
Hold on, you didn't eat the day of the colonoscopy?
you can't. You're not allowed to.
Yeah,
But after you're done, you
Oh,
can?
after you're done,
Oh,
you
okay.
can eat. Yeah.
So you've got to completely fast as well.
You have to completely fast. You can't eat a damn thing.
So you got to spring in your
can't
step.
drink
That does
either.
sound terrible.
The only thing you could drink is liquids. I mean,
Clear
of course,
liquids.
duh. What I mean is clear liquids, right?
Okay.
And you specifically can't have anything red or purple, interesting enough, because it will
right.
look like blood.
Yeah, they don't want to see that.
So-
yeah.
Afterward, did you feel cleansed that you didn't want to eat poorly?
Yeah, kind of. But I got over it because I was so
now,
hungry.
Now, let me ask you this: in
Fucking McDonald's.
of what's coming out,
Yeah.
what you're seeing in the bowl,
Yeah.
is that changing throughout the day?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Like
Because
in character or in color and tone? Like,
in
is
all of it, because really, this is what I'm saying. By the end of the day, by like the 10th hour, when like a lot is coming out, it's like clear,
Right.
It's
Well, that's when
there's
you know
like
you're
nothing
clear.
Like
Right.
Like when you have the
Right.
flu. Like you have liquid
Right,
diarrhea.
you can't just be
mucus-y
shitting out
shit.
just clear liquid out of your asshole.
Right, you're not. For a while, you're shitting out shit, right? And food particles or whatever.
Yeah,
But
right.
after a while, there's nothing, and so it's just the
Did you take
liquid of
pictures?
what you're. No, but I didn't, and there will never be any physical evidence of that. But they take pictures of your colonoscopy, and they
Right.
show them to you right
Yeah.
after, and I'm going to get them in the mail.
Is
like,
it like
here's the inside
Fantastic
of your.
Voyage?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is kind of like that.
This is this intersphinctic ganglion.
So if you do it, and this is the reason why you're dumb not to, like you have to do this because, actually, they were telling me that up until now, colon cancer has been the second highest cause of death, cancer's death after lung cancer. I guess for men, because
Right.
it's breast cancer is second for women.
Right.
But it's this one, unlike breast cancer, is totally preventable. So the only reason that a lot of guys, it's actually both sexes,
women and men both get colon cancer.
have died is because they did not have this preventative thing because it's so preventative. So you're really dumb not to, like you have to do it. I'm glad I did it. I found out I don't have cancer, right?
Yeah.
But it was great. I didn't even have polyps.
When would you have to go back again?
Well, because I was totally in the clear, like I didn't have any polyps, like
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah.
I got a 10-year reprieve.
Oh, well, that's good.
Which is awesome. But
Yeah.
they'll tell people different things.
Yeah, and if you have polyps, then like you come back sooner. If you have precancerous stuff,
Now-
then they make you come back every 6 months or
Yeah.
a year. or
Also,
something.
when you wake up after the colonoscopy,
Yeah.
do you feel like you've been invaded
I
in
felt
any way?
nothing.
Okay.
I had no idea. Like I could have been abducted by aliens. I would have had no idea what happened.
No
to
sense
me.
of probing or anything.
Nothing felt any different to me.
Was there a spring in your step?
Well, I did definitely feel. I don't know. It's weird. Like I definitely felt cleaner. Kind of. It made me think. You always read about people getting like what are they called, colonics or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's bullshit.
But it sounds like that's kind of what you get when you just do
It
the
is,
liquid.
and it made me feel like, I guess I could see why people do this every once in a while. You feel all the
See, and now I'm thinking about all like the grody grossness that's
Exactly.
in there.
Exactly.
You're ready to go.
I want to get it out.
right because
Purge.
it's sort of scary that it takes that many hours. It's like Jesus, how much shit is building up?
Well,
in
your
here?
intestines
like,
are
literally.
really long. I mean,
Right.
you have a lot of intestine.
right.
And the good thing is they're able to give you you're all clear right there and then, right, when you wake up, because you said
you're done.
They know right away.
Yeah, they say you're done. You don't have cancer. If you did, it would be gone, and see you in 10 years.
So the bad news is if you have polyps, then they have to go do tests and stuff on them. So you don't get necessarily that.
But they
all
even
clear
do
at
the
once.
tests. No, well they'll do it right there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they do it right there.
Oh, I thought they had to grow
I
cells.
love it.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, I don't love it, but I mean, it's nice to know this is something that
there's no waiting
should,
game.
People should be aware of this, right?
They should be aware. I mean, it's obviously easy to joke about, but now like
Well, it's a funny thing.
It is a
because
funny
it involves
thing.
the asshole,
And
which
you know
is
what?
inherently
Before,
hilarious.
I didn't think anything about it other than like the annoyance of the horrible diarrhea. But when I actually, was in the room, I got nervous. I was like, "Fuck!" Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
This is a place that I could come out of. My life could be irrevocably
Yeah,
changed
I could be Walter
afterwards.
White after in an hour.
Yeah.
But
Did you do some meth making research beforehand?
no, I should have. But yeah, overall, the worst part definitely the day before, and my God, I was fucking starving.
Oh, that's got to be the worst.
24 hours with no food?
Terrible. No food. Yeah, and all you could drink is
because the liquid has no nutritional value, right?
You drink like apple juice.
You can drink apple juice. Yeah.
Did you instantly go and like have a big meal when you were done?
Yeah, the thing is they warn you off grease because I was dying for a cheeseburger so badly.
Right.
You know, like some
because it'll just slide right through.
Yeah, and
what's the problem?
It's greasy or spicy. It's just because what did they tell me that it's just too much for your system.
Like a virgin colon again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, they pump a lot of air and stuff in when they're doing this so they can see.
Oh,
right?
so that's the other part. That's the other part.
You're gonna fart a lot afterwards?
That's the other part, right? They have to blow up your colon with air, and so the nurse is telling me, before they put me under, they're like, okay, so
they inflate your colon.
Yeah, and they inflate your colon, and then they tell you, okay, not only are you going to want to fart and need to fart, but we kind of we encourage you and need you to fart. So, like, you're going to be laying in this room in the recovery room for like an hour, and there's only thin, like a regular hospital, just a thin curtain, but separating you from other patients, and it's just a room full of people farting.
At least it's clean. It's clean.
It's clean. Yeah. So the guy next to me was done as I was just arriving, and he's just like farting next to me, and I was like, God, this is awful.
Are we talking about like a pungent room clearer, or kind of like a air?
I don't actually recall smelling anything because I think there's nothing. It's just
air.
It's just air.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it makes you farty.
So what did you go eat afterwards?
I had a big, humongous pile of spaghetti that my wife made.
Oh,
for
that
me.
sounds good.
It was great. Yeah, it was great, and she made a lot because I was hungry. So I just wolfed it down.
Right,
that's good.
And bread. It was like fresh bread from the bakery.
Yeah.
So
that sounds good. That's almost worth getting the colonoscopy.
I swear, food tasted better.
Yeah, why not? It's a virgin palate.
Because you've also got that new lease on life, right? You know that you're not going to die. And
exactly.
It's all good.
Yeah. So I guess that'll do it for us this week. Jeff, you're streaming on Twitch on Greenspeak. It's twitch.tv/Greenspeak. Is that right?
That's correct.
Where are you in your stream? Are you done with Dark Souls?
No, I'm probably
Dark Souls.
fairly early in the Dark Souls, actually.
Have you gotten the Drake Sword yet?
No, but I guess I could have.
So I've
beaten a couple of the bosses.
The weird thing about that game to me is that there's stuff that is obviously broken in there that they have not fixed intentionally, and I think and the things that are broken give you like a big spike on your power curve.
I have been told by other experienced Dark Souls players, I think it was actually on the Bombcast, that there's no such thing as an exploit in Dark Souls,
right?
Because Dark Souls is so hard that if the boss gets stuck on the staircase, just fucking kill him.
Well,
take it.
There's a place where you can train bad guys off of a cliff, and each time you do that, you get a certain number of souls, and it's a lot of souls for the time at which you can get to that area. But you have to save up maybe 30,000 souls or something, which is a terrifying amount of souls.
Did you pick Dark Souls as your game because you knew it would be hard and it might be entertaining to be terrible at it?
Well, I was live streaming Black Mesa. That's what
that's right. That's what you streamed first.
And I stopped only because I just had an hour once during lunchtime to stream something. I didn't feel like doing the full-on Black Mesa thing. So I thought, well, what would be funny? I know this game is like probably way too hard for me, so this will just be a joke. So I just went in for fun and did it. And if you watch that first stream, I have no fucking idea what I'm doing at all.
Well, the first hour of that game, first 4 hours of that game were real hard.
Yeah, I had and everyone was just laughing, and it was funny, and so it served its purpose, right? I got some laughs. But what happened was, then when I went to play it the second time, like, I got into it. Like, I started making a few kills, and I was like, oh, shit, I actually like this mechanic. And then I really got into it. So now the stream, I'm still trying to be entertaining or whatever, but I'm actually really into the game now, like a lot.
Have you gotten past like the gargoyles and stuff and into the lower undead and all that business? Or not yet?
Let's see. I've killed like 2 bosses. The Taurus,
the guy on top of the wall.
The guy on top of the wall. Yeah. I killed him. I've gone up and down this humongous building, and I ended up in like a forest where there's like ants. It's like, who kill you.
Yeah, those guys will fuck you up.
Yeah, so it's. I think I'm in a real part of the game. I'm like past the beginning. But
the first 5 minutes of that game, if you turn left out of the starting point, the real part of the game starts there. Like, there's the all real part of the game. The tutorial is real part of the game.
Yeah, I love the whole thing. I love the fact that like there's no map. Like, they don't tell you shit. Like, it's really old school in a way. Like, you just got to beat it. I mean, I'm lucky in a way, or unlucky, it's sort of a cheat, that I've got this whole chat window full of people going, turn left, turn right, you know. So they're helping me through it.
It's not my... Usually these days when I hear people complain about a game being too easy, that's a selling point for me. When it's too hard,
you know what?
I won't go near it.
I'm exactly with you, but there's something about this game that really got to me because it's so hard, but it's so fair.
Yeah.
Like, they're making it explicit from the beginning that this game's going to kick your ass.
See, that I hadn't heard. There was a Twitter account that I was following for a while called Why Dark Souls Why. And it was basically retweeting all the people that were complaining about the brutally unfair and merciless ways in which the game was killing their characters.
It's literally, when you leave the tutorial, the training area, and you go into the first place, if you turn left 5 feet down that path, you're in an area that you will get killed at for the next 10 hours.
It has moments over and over of, like, you finally beat something. Like, here's a good, it's sort of a spoiler, but not really. I beat the first big boss, like major boss, and I was so excited because it took a while, you know? And I got it, so I knew I'd get onto the next section of the game. I round the corner, and there's a big, giant fucking dragon, basically like a second boss. And within 2 seconds, he had just breathed fire and killed me. And I was like, and you were gonna die.
Fuck
you, you had to die there. And I just laughed because it was so brutal that it wasn't like you knew you had to die. You know what I mean?
Right.
It reminds,
but it also means that when you do succeed, you feel presumably that much more
feel
sense
great.
of achievement.
You feel great.
It reminds me a lot of like original pre-expansion EverQuest.
Yes.
Like you get into that game and they
Yes.
don't tell you any, like the entire extent of the information they give you is that if you like want to fight with melee, you should be one of these classes. If you want to fight with magic, you should be one of these classes.
Yep.
And you don't know what any of the stats on any of the weapons do. You don't know what any of the fucking. They don't even tell you what the spells do.
I compared it to EverQuest 1 on the live stream.
Yeah.
And they don't tell you where the NPCs are that give you quests. It was called EverQuest. You had no idea where there was there was a quest.
They didn't even have brackets around the text in that part where you could give the words that would trigger the rest of the quest. Like it wasn't like you walk up to somebody with an exclamation point and click a button. You had to type stuff in like a text adventure.
Right.
And people were constantly discovering stuff for the entire run of that.
Which was why it was such a dangerous game in a great way. Like you definitely felt terror as you went into a new area.
There was I think the part of the reason why that game's been successful is it has attracted a crowd of like hardcore gamers who are very good at games and they want that challenge. A lot of people these days again are complaining about the people that younger guys, I guess, that are more into games that play them all the time, that are very good. I mean, this is not us anymore. Maybe 20 years ago, but not now. That want to play games on the hardest difficulty.
Right.
I'm more likely to complain that a game is too easy than too difficult.
Right. Well, it's been funny to watch the chat in the live stream because, you know, as good as I'm ever going to be in this game, I'm barely going to beat it if I ever beat it.
Right.
And I'm constantly making mistakes, you know, but I don't give a shit. It's one thing about being 50. I don't give a fuck.
Right.
You know, like, if I don't beat it, whatever. But there's people in the chat who are so invested in this game, and they're younger guys, and they're probably great at it, right? And 99% of the chat is all good-natured and fun, and they're helping me.
Right.
But they'll get in arguments among themselves.
No, I've seen everyone's trying to give you advice.
Right, and they're like, oh, well, if he just puts +1 in this, you know, so they're all getting mad at each other.
That's great.
I'm like, Jesus, you know.
But like you said earlier, those are the two ways to build an audience. You can either be really good at a game or be really bad at it in a very amusing way.
Yeah. It's super
Only
fun
one of
for
those
me.
options is open to me, so
that's the only option open to me. And every once in a while, you know, I'll look in chat or a comment on NeoGAF, and every once in a while, someone who doesn't know who I am and they've just wandered in because somehow
it popped to the top of the list.
Yeah, they're like, what the fuck is with this guy? He sucks, you know. And if I see it, I'll say like, I know I do.
It is interesting.
That's what the stream is about.
It is interesting just how much that culture has changed. I don't know if you saw this. There's a really interesting video that's been going around the last couple of weeks. That was it's like if Doom was made today.
Oh my god, I have seen that.
Did you see that?
I haven't seen it,
good.
no.
So it's basically a Doom mod, but it was the design of it was structured in such a way as like basically the tutorial level of like a Modern Warfare, a Call of Duty type game, and it really illustrates just how ridiculously handholdy games have become.
Yes.
Right? Like if you go back and play Doom, it just goes off you go kill stuff, go figure it out.
Yep.
Whereas everything now has to come with this incredibly interactive, almost to a ridiculously intimate level of tutorial. Like it just press E to do this, press Q to awesome. It's just everything is.
Well, so
you're just following instructions now.
So the thing about Dark Souls that's interesting is because of the way the game is set up, the game itself gates you from getting to areas before you have the skills and mechanics locked down to handle
Sort
them.
of.
kind of like, you can run past stuff maybe.
Right, you can run past stuff.
But like if you've gotten to the part where you have to know how to block or dodge enemies, you know, 5 minutes in without learning how to block or dodge enemies, you're not going to get any further without learning how to block or dodge enemies.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Anyway.
Great game. Really great game.
Twitch.tv/Greenspeak. Gary, anything to plug? You're all quiet on your stuff now, right?
I don't have too much. Like I said, Walking Dead Game of the Year edition will be out very soon. I think you can Google it to find out exactly when, but it's all 5 episodes of the game, plus 400 days, the DLC, plus the full soundtrack from the game, which everyone loves, but it's never been officially available until now, and a 35-minute making-of documentary, which has my face in it. So why wouldn't you want to see that?
Excellent. Talking Room's up on the site right now. You should watch that. I know there's other stuff we should be talking about normally.
Oh, and if you want to follow me on Twitch, I'm Gary Whitta on Twitch.
I wouldn't encourage that, though.
But it's good, though.
Follow not
Resogun.
that Will Smith
So
on
you
Twitch.
started streaming PS4 stuff.
I've been streaming PS4 Resogun,
Yeah.
and that's why I almost went out to get the camera, because I found it so... I think the novelty of it might well wear off
Yeah.
in the near future, but for right now, it's tremendous fun to play a game in front of an audience.
As an experienced live streamer of 2 weeks now, I can tell you, you should upload to YouTube if you have a channel, and if you don't, then create one.
Well, I can archive videos on Twitch. Can I then get them onto YouTube?
You can, and you can archive on the Twitch. That's true, but it'll be more accessible for people on YouTube.
I don't know how to get it onto YouTube.
There's a button that says publish to YouTube.
Even I figured it out.
All right, good. Well, you've got the whole picture-in-picture thing going on. Like you've
That's OBS. Or
it's
what is that,
easier
a piece of software that you use?
Yeah, it's open broadcast system.
Yeah.
And it's easy to use.
Okay.
After you watch a video of it.
So it just takes whatever webcam you have and just puts it right there for you.
Yeah,
You
and
have
then
to
you
arrange
can
it all.
arrange it. You know, you could just click and drag windows.
little
Can you even
virtual
do like
sets.
some of the more like high-end technical setup Let's Players that I've seen?
Yeah.
Actually, have like a green screen where it's just like they're cut
you
out
can.
into the game.
Yeah,
You can totally do that.
You could even do that, I think, from within XSplit. XSplit is like the commercial one that Twitch pushes. It's free.
No, it's $30 a year, isn't it?
Well, it's $30 a year to unlock stuff.
That's the one that Giant Bomb and like some of the actual real outlets.
They use
Yeah.
both. So, like Brad uses OBS at home. I know Jeff uses XSplit. Patrick uses. Everybody's. It's all shit's changing on a day-to-day.
Yeah,
basis.
This is what's great about the PS4 though, is it takes
I
takes
know,
all
that
those
sounds
barriers
great.
away.
Yeah.
Like it really is.
Yeah.
It really is as easy as
Except
as
for
you would want it to be.
Sometimes it crops the headshot like 3 feet to the left or right of where you want to be.
Can you not have the camera? Can you not move the camera around?
Sure,
so
you can physically move it, but you can't like aim it. I don't think.
Oh, but you can't like in software like zoom it in and position it.
no.
Oh, that sucks.
So yeah, I guess that'll do it for us this week. I streamed Rogue Legacy for a while. It was fun. I like that. And Spelunky. We'll be back next week. Actually, we probably won't be back next week because it's Thanksgiving. So we will be back the week after next with another episode of This Is Only a Test. There'll be still Untitled on Tuesday, but no, this is only a test. Check out the Talking Room. Adam talks to Vince Gilligan. It is, I think, the best one we've done so far.
I can't wait.
And we'll be back after Thanksgiving. Everybody have a good holiday. Today's outro is brought to you by Ad Hoc, and we may or may not talk about Breaking Bad after this. Hi there, I didn't see you.
Tested.
Do you want to talk about the Star Trek convention?
Oh yeah, I want to talk about
We'll
Star
talk
Trek
about that.
convention.
Tested.
I'm bummed that I missed the Star Trek
I know,
convention.
I'm
Yeah,
so bummed.
seriously.
I'm
I would
gonna
like
miss
to
it.
have gone, and I would like to have at least heard about it.
There were a lot of nerds there.
Yeah.
That's surprising.
Yeah, I know.
A friend of mine, maybe you guys know him too, Jamil Moladina, who used to run GDC.
Yeah, sure.
Took second place in the costume competition.
Seriously?
He
Really?
went as Khan.
Oh, I
that's
saw
perfect.
the costume
Yeah.
contest. The
He kinda
guy who
looks
won
like
first
Khan.
He
place.
went as
yeah.
Khan and
Like
his,
Monty
and his
Python?
wife, I
He had a
can't remember who it was,
wife,
but she went as the nurse.
Yeah.
The
Alice
blonde
Bell?
nurse that Khan seduces.
so he went as new.
He went, oh, that's good. He
Oh,
went
from
as,
the TOS.
He went as original Ricardo Montalban
Gotcha.
from the
Awesome.
show Khan.
Right,
He
the-
kind of
With
looks
the black
like
hair.
Yeah, well, because he same in the
Right, the
ethnicity.
blonde nurse who is dead and is the plot point
So
that
they
triggers
went as a
Wrath of
double
Khan.
act and had their picture taken with Shatner and the whole
great.
thing, and they were second. Don't know who won the contest.
This guy won. The first guy who won as Gorn.
But that's just a guy in a Kirk
No.
shirt.
He won as full Gorn.
Oh.
After he won, he changed into Kirk and took his Gorn head, and then came as a victorious
That's
Kirk.
good.
It was pretty good.
That's good.
Yeah. Artemis. was there.
Oh yeah,
So good.
I got
So good.
We should do an Artemis
Jeff,
stream.
you want to be part of our Artemis?
Yes, you've got to do it.
Sure.
We have 5.
We have
six
Can we get
now.
it set up here and do
We
it?
can do it set up
Set up
here.
here.
I
We
want
have
to do it.
because we talked. Lloyd and Jeremy were both here last week,
I'm
and they're
so
both
into
in.
it.
So
I'm
we
so
have
into
we
it.
have a crew of 6.
This is this would
I think we
actually
only
be
need 5.
This would be the best.
We can always have more
This
people on
would
the
be the
bridge.
best Star Trek crew since Next Generation.
I don't.
That's probably right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Checks out. Do we want to talk about Breaking Bad? Do you want to spoil Breaking
On
Bad?
the one hand, I kind of feel like it's been talked about so much. Like, what do we really
We're a
have
little
to add?
behind. Yeah.
The only point I wanted to make about it was, as much as I loved the series finale,
Yeah.
and as satisfying as it was, and I felt like as soon as they crossed that Rubicon where it was known that he was Heisenberg and there was no going back, that you were just in for that final ride, and that was so exciting, and that's part of what made it so great. Still, for me though, the greatest moment in the whole 5 years is the end of the previous season, and the end of
so
Fring
good.
was just that moment, that shot, that reveal where they pan around, was, to me, is one of the greatest moments in history of television.
Yeah.
He talks about that in the interview too.
Does he?
Yeah. Because he said that was one of they were really nervous about how to finish that
But it was amazing.
because they knew they had to do it at the end of the episode.
Yeah.
At the end of the season.
So
and
good.
they
So
couldn't
good.
tell.
So good.
Ozymandias.
But
Yeah.
the Ozymandias episode was just,
That ripped my heart out because that was
Yeah.
the one. Hank is the one character that I was,
and it was scene after scene. It just like
Yeah.
kept going.
Brilliant.
And-
Hey
and
guys,
it's the
Breaking
first-
Bad
it's-
spoilers.
It
Well,
starts.
I think
I
we,
know.
Because the episode that previous to that
Was
when
the
you,
shootout.
there's the shootout, and you think at
And
the
it
end of
ends
that
mid-shootout,
episode,
yeah.
right? And you think,
that's
okay,
one of the greatest episode endings.
and so there's a whole week for people watching in real
But
time.
the thing is that the way that they were saying, you kind of knew, like there was no way he was going to
but
survive.
because he didn't
Right.
die at the end of that episode, like maybe there's a chance.
There was a hope.
There's a
slim hope.
I never doudted the way it was going to go, but when it happened, it still
And the
still-
line,
it was still
the line he
brutal.
gives when he
Made up his-
says,
made up his
Yeah,
line
yeah,
5
yeah.
minutes ago,
and that's when you're like, it was inevitable. Like he says it right.
I
up
was
there.
thinking just the other day, randomly, I don't know why, but the moment in which Walt shoots that motherfucker, the Nazi guy,
Yeah.
it's almost a parallel,
did
right?
the same
Like
thing.
he doesn't let him
cuts
finish the
and
sentence.
cuts him off mid-sentence.
yeah.
Yeah.
I had
Genius.
Yeah.
The other moment prior to that was, I don't know if it was the very last episode or the one before season 3, when Walt goes to help Jesse with the drug dealers and just gets out of the car, runs one over, shoots the other one in the head, and just says run.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the run moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a great show! I ordered
Such a great show.
even though I don't really buy physical media anymore, and again, like I don't need to be spending any more money this
No.
month. I bought the barrel with all
I'm
of
doing
it.
it. I'm
I have
gonna.
to have
I
it.
haven't. Yeah, I have. To
I
have
can
it.
actually see myself watching it all over.
Me too.
again.
I bought The Wire.
I haven't watched it yet. It's pretty
I
good.
bought The Prisoner.
What, The Wire?
No, the Breaking Bad.
The Barrel?
Just the whole show. It's okay, right? It's watchable.
Oh, stop it!
I haven't
Stop
watched it.
you.
Yeah, it's too intense for me.
Wait,
I
you've
bought
really
it-
never watched
I
it?
watched the first season and a half, and I just got like it makes me too anxious.
That's how I feel
If the
about
first
it.
season makes you too anxious.
The first season,
I think
the
after-
first season was fine. The second season, when it stopped being as funny and started being more serious, it became
Those
high
last
anxiety
few
for me.
episodes of the final season, I almost dreaded watching it.
I know. It
and
was
then when
dread.
and then when it was over, I had genuinely mixed. I was so sad that one of the best
Cathartic.
television shows I
Yeah.
ever watched was over, but you almost felt like released from
Yeah.
the pressure, the stress.
Oh
of
right,
watching
it was
every
so
week.
stressful.
I don't
Yeah.
know how people can binge watch that show.
We did.
A lot of people
Great.
did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
3
we
hours
did.
a
I mean,
night.
because you couldn't
We
stop.
did. We
once
did.
you.
We did. The show was in the middle of its 3rd season when we started watching it, and we
That's
binge
about the
watched.
same
I
until-
remember.
There's that point where
Yeah.
you catch up with reality, and then you have to wait every
Yeah.
week.
iPhone
And it's
4S.
so suspenseful.
iPhone
iPhone
4.
fi-
iPhone 4.
What about it?
That was when you first started watching Breaking Bad.
Oh, okay. How
'Cause you-
quickly did you get through it all?
2 weeks.
Wow.
like
the
how-
entire
like-
series.
Entire series.
Like, how many episodes were you watching at a time?
3 episodes a night.
That's
sometimes
amazing.
more.
I can't
Last-
even imagine what
I-
that experience was
I-
like.
Oh god,
You become way more. The Wire did the same thing. I
Yeah.
did 2 weeks for the entire
I
series.
wonder if it's a different experience because when you go back and look at some of the clips in the early episodes, you almost don't recognize that Walter White, right?
Yeah,
He's so
right. I
different
know, it's so
that
different.
To see him grow, and you have to remember the whole show only takes place over the course of 1 year.
That's another
years.
thing that's.
It's 1 year.
The first 4 seasons are 1 year, and the 5th season is the second year.
How you're the only person who hasn't watched the show? How are you an authority? on
We
this?
talked.
The second season does jump ahead because he's in the woods for a long. He's in the mountains
You're
for
right.
a long time.
He's right. Yeah.
So
Oh no, that's
why
right. No,
it's
the
just
second
2
one he
years.
is in the mountains for a long time, but everything up to that
Yes.
point is 1 year.
Yeah.
Because it's
And-
the 51 to 52.
Right. That's right.
And it's basically.
And I think you lose that if you've watched it in real time.
I just
'Cause it just seems like years.
I
Yeah.
just don't know if you'd get a different, if you'd experience that transformation differently if you are binge watching it or not, or if it's the same, or
Yeah,
I
I
think
don't
it probably
know.
would work out
I
the
don't
same
know.
way.
In some of the other interviews, Vince had said like this show was a success in the end because of Netflix, because people were getting turned on midway through, and 10 years ago you wouldn't have had any way to catch up.
Right.
That didn't cost a fortune.
I mean, God bless Netflix. I mean, not just the $8 a month for all this amazing content, but like we were talking earlier about It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I would never have discovered.
Me too.
I don't have time to watch shows when they're on anymore. I don't really know what's good. Like I haven't seen The Blacklist. I haven't seen Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I haven't seen any of the stuff that's new this season because I just don't have time to sit down and watch it. There's got to be a time when I can watch it on my own terms, and Netflix is now how I do that.
I think that's how so many of us do it, right? And that's why they were so brilliant with House of Cards and Orange is the New Black, to stick them all up there so we could binge watch.
Yeah.
I mean, because they knew that's what people do now.
Yeah. Very, very smart.
So there we go. Yep. This has been a really long ass podcast. We'll
how
see
long
you guys.
has this one been?
2 hours and 52 minutes and 7 seconds.
Yeah, I think I said I was going to be home at 2.
And for the people,
which doesn't matter really.
For the people that hate us when we talk about video games, they're going to love this.
Yeah, there's an hour and a half of fun. We'll see you guys next
December.
time. Yeah, December. Yeah. Wow. Bye.
Oh, being full Christmas mode. I love it.